All right.
Oh, you did not get first turn in Cog. I'm sorry, bro. Oh, God. I'm too loud. I'm sorry, guys. All right, there we go. I fixed it. Hey, what's up, brothers? I hope everyone had a wonderful weekend. I spent a bunch of time this weekend with house guests, but watching psychological horror. So I watched American Psycho, Eraserhead.
K-pop Demon Hunters.
I did not watch that.
Psychological horror.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what else I watched that was like good psychological horror. Eraserhead and American Psycho stood out to me. I didn't realize how good American Psycho is as a movie because I was always scared to watch it. But like, I really fuck with that movie. It's very good. Obviously, super disturbing, really violent and gory. But just it was executed so well. Eraserhead was really weird to me. It was like, you know, art house, wacky cinematography film. It was just so weird. Oh my God, LFQ. All right, thank you. Thank you, bro. Thank you for the other 20.
Oh, I didn't have my chat up yet. What happened?
LFQ just dropped 20 gifted.
He's a crazy
Instant hype
man.
train level 5.
Yep. He's a crazy man.
Amazing. Yeah, I hope you had a good weekend. I'm assuming that means you did, because that's very generous of you. Thank you, brother.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, dude, lots of hype. Get those disco pups and what do we call that tree? What is that guy? Neon flash. Get some fracted neon flashes, bro. +4 Valorant gifts. Yeah, what were the Valorant gifts? I saw that popped up. Yeah, it's sick, dude. Thank you. Get them emotes in there, fellers. Yeah, so Eraserhead, very interesting movie. I kept thinking that the like male lead was Tim Robbins because it looks a lot like Tim Robbins, but like not like Tim Robbins.
Is that the guy from I Think You Should Leave?
No, that's Tim
Robinson.
Robinson. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Who's Tim Robbins?
Andy Dufresne from Shawshank.
Haven't seen Shawshank, believe it or not.
That's crazy. Isn't that like a staple movie for our demo?
Yeah, I've never seen it though. I mean, American Psycho is too, and I haven't seen that either.
You should definitely watch Shawshank. Yeah. It's just a really good movie. It's pretty emotional, but it's a great movie.
Turning Cog, this is the modular neighborhood asset pack that was given away on Fab at some point. We're borrowing some houses from it, but probably not much else. As you can see, it's kind of not super great. I think they'll make for decent kind of like background pieces and stuff though. Like I really didn't like the trees in here. That was why I was asking you guys about trees. So
we might use the fences and the lawns, but I don't know.
Yeah.
So Dread Dev is going really, really well. Today, officially first day of Dread Dev. So we're in it. We're going for it. We're doing the thing. We're going to make this game in a month. Let me see. Just to give you guys an idea of where we're at, we've got very solid prototype for the world generation using PCG that Tony has made, which is awesome. We have a really good prototype for interactables. So the player walks up to something and finds it, you know, and then they can like click on it and it pops up in an inspection window. We've got that working. We got some rudimentary audio idea stuff built. We've got several tracks that we can look at and use. So we're working on a spatial audio system and audio manager. Let's see. We got some palette pieces set up, meaning like what can we use from this modular neighborhood pack? So we created that, and the concept here, and I've used this in pretty much every game studio that I've worked for. But what environment art does is they create a list of like Lego pieces that you can build environment, the game environment out of, and that helps retain like a solid art style and stuff like that. So usually there's like a palette team and they build out a palette, or it's just the environment art team builds a palette. And then all of the, juniors and mid-level environment artists will use that palette to create assets that live in the game. So we're starting there. We've got a couple palettes built. We need to build more. We need to build more houses for variety using PCG. We have 2 from this asset pack that we're going to mess around with. Yeah, Tony, this one sucks only because this house isn't a prefab. So this was kind of a pain in the ass. I had to go through and select all the meshes to move them to the palette. And then I grouped them in our palette. So it's easy to just ungroup, and then you can move stuff around if you want to. Okay. But yeah. And then let me see, what else did we do? So yeah, we're almost at the point where we could build the game front to back, all the way through the experience with these pre-made things that we've got. We've got the blueprint for the house is basically done right now, metaphorically speaking. Yeah, so that's kind of where we're at. And then we're really, really close to just author content, build the game out. We can use cubes and stuff to do that, to get to where we need to get, so that we can play the game end to end. And then once we get to that point, that's where we will, start moving from there towards finishing the game, right? So we're almost at the middle part of making a game where you have to just content author, what all your constraints are, for art, for sound, for, narrative, the stories you're trying to tell, player verbs, all that stuff. So that's really, really good, especially since we're officially starting today. So very, very awesome. Technically, we've been working on it for a week and a half. But yeah, the team is super excited. Everyone's just firing on all cylinders, just fucking cranking along, doing good work. So yeah. Let's see. So yeah, part of my research over the weekend was watching Eraserhead, watching American Psycho. These are movies that I wouldn't typically watch, by the way, because the vibes can fuck me up real bad. But the way I got through them was I was playing video games and watching on another screen, so I could kind of not be as deep into it. But even doing that, American Psycho was just really, really, really good. And I think it's a perfect example of psychological horror. And that is the nature of reality is in question. So there's things that Patrick Bateman, the main character played by Christian Bale, does where you're not sure if he actually did the thing or said the thing. And it gets real fuzzy as the movie goes on farther. And then you realize it's not just us that isn't sure. Patrick Bateman doesn't know. And that's really good, because you suddenly, as an audience member, are like, oh shit, is this all in his head? I don't fucking know. And he's crying for help. You're literally screaming for help. And he's lost in the world of his insanity, and he's all alone and can't figure it out. Turns out he's also a serial killer, and he's killed 40 people. But yeah, it's really, really good. Also, it's couched in the 80s, which is kind of fun. I definitely added a bunch of songs to Spotify playlists that I'd forgotten about that I really liked from the time period. But yeah, it was good stuff. Let's see. Some of the best things in life are in the middle, like the filling of an Oreo cookie. Yeah, so I will say this, Omni. The middle part of making a game is the worst part of making a game. The beginning is really, really fun because everyone's excited and has fresh and new ideas, but then you have to pare those down and stay, focused on the target for what you're trying to build. And then finishing can be a slog because you're like, oh my God, there's still this other thing that we haven't done yet that we got to get in there. And this other thing that we haven't done yet to get in there. So I find the best times of making a game are starting out when it's shipped and watching people react positively to it. Those are the two really good moments for making a video game. Bug bashing sucks. That's not fun, but it's very necessary, and that's part of closing. So we probably need to bug bash the last week of October. That would be my guess here, production-wise. We're probably going to be bug bashing and feature developing at the same time, just because of how tight our time frame is. Making a game in a month is crazy. So But I think we can do it. I really do. The fact that we've gotten so far already, like Tony's showing you guys the PCG that he's built, which is fucking amazing. And it works with the Lost Woods, which is really, really cool. So yeah, it's very, very exciting that we already have this stood up. We're like ready to fucking go. We just need to plug assets into this. You know, Tony's got some street lamps in there, but we need to put, you know, houses and yards and things like that. And the spooky mansion needs to be in there too. So yeah, finishing is the worst. I don't think like it's actually the worst time. I do think the middle's the worst time, especially in a game, because that's when features can creep in and you're suddenly developing something brand new you didn't plan for at the beginning and wasn't a part of the original design. I guarantee we're going to run into that. We absolutely will. It's just a part of making games. The key is to focus on the pillars. You know, I went over our pillars last week, but just to give you guys a quick rundown on the pillars again, I was looking at them again this morning and I felt very, very positive about the pillars we set up for this game. We only have 6. Number 1 is simple gameplay mechanics, walking simulator, point and click discovery. We have prototypes for both of those, so we're solid. It's single player. We've already got that. We're solid. The monster's never shown. We're solid there. We're not looking at making a monster or putting a monster in the game. 4 is audio-driven psychological horror. That's what we're developing right now with spatial audio and, what is it, music manager and stuff like that, audio track managers. 5 is the Lost Woods environmental exploration. We've got that stood up, so that prototype's already there. And then the last pillar is narrative delivered through environmental cues and interactable context clues. We're there with the prototypes, so I just need to write that stuff out. So that's a big thing for me, is I need to write a short story about what this game is end to end, and that'll help inform like everything we're making along the way. So we'll be really set. But yeah, I think those are the pillars, and it's really good to stay there. Don't worry, Omni. I can be pretty good at knowing what features need to go in and what don't. So I feel confident in that. Strong vision, you know, that's the important thing. When you're working on a game with the vision holder not having a strong vision, that's when you get really fucked up feature creep. And you start adding a lot of things and the team gets like randomized on, now you got to go make this other fucking thing because this one game had it, so we should do it in our game. And it's like, why didn't you plan for that from day one, dude? You know, like I've been on so many projects like that, and it's really frustrating. So I guess part of it isn't just the creative directors' goals and motivations and all that. They also have bosses, and those bosses have opinions about what they need to put in the game too. So I know that some of that feature creep comes from like leadership level people not being close to the development of the game, but they do, you know, a quarterly review or like a monthly review. They play it and they go, hey, it'd be really cool if you could do this. And it's like something woefully in violation of the pillars of the game, but you have to do it because your boss said put this in the game. So we don't have that problem, which is fucking great, because it's me, you know, and I talk to everyone all day. We're all looking at the game all the time. So that's the advantage of a smaller team. In AAA, you get these stakeholders that are just a huge pain in the ass, and they come out of left field and they're like, hey guys, I'm just going to slap another 3 to 6 months of dev time on this, but you don't get any more time, but you have to build this feature that I want you to build. So you have to like put shit on hold, and people start crunching just to fucking jam a feature in there that's arbitrary. And someone didn't know what the original game vision is, and they can't keep their hands out of it. So yeah, player housing, dude, victory garden, petable dogs, fishing, exactly, all that shit. None of that is in service of Dread, so we're not going to be doing it. I want to throw this out there. Omni, don't take this as like, stop doing it. But Omni had an idea for a sprinkler noise jump scare in the neighborhood, which I think is really good. But I would say slow it down, because we have to figure out how to do that without supporting visuals and visual effects. Because if you imagine there's a sprinkler that goes off and it could spray, we need to animate that. We need to add the visual effect for the spray. If it hits the player, we probably want to do a screen effect to show there's like water on the camera or something like that. So all of that is scope creep. And those are things that we can't do. So that doesn't mean, Omni, don't do the sprinkler jump scare. I think it's good. We can probably figure out a way for it to happen where it's just not visible to the player. and that'll be a good way to check our jump scares. So it's good that you're thinking about jump scares. We should definitely explore it as a sound. But yeah, having a supporting visual is going to be out of scope, I think. Yeah, exactly. It could happen behind a tall fence. There's a bunch of different ways to, I've already got ideas about it. Omni posted that last night in our group chat for the project. So that's why I'm saying, please don't ignore it. Yeah, don't ignore, don't just cancel the idea. That's not what I'm saying at all. I still think you should develop it, but just be aware as you're thinking of jump scares, how would we visually represent this to support the idea that this thing is happening? So that's all. But yeah, definitely check it out. See what you can make with the sprinkler. What's up, Acid Hex? Fuck a boss? Yeah, dude. I mean, bosses are important in most jobs, but at the same time, middle management are the worst kinds of bosses. And you only need middle management if you scale too large, and middle managers are butt cheeks. Yeah, dog behind fence. We definitely want to do like dog barks and stuff where you don't know where the dog came from, growls, shit like that. So yes, Turning Cog. I love cicadas. Actually, that's a good point, Omni. If you want to find a good cicada to like intersperse cicada and cricket chirps, I love cicada. So
do cicadas happen at night?
Yeah, you can pander to me and make a cicada noise for some ambience, and I would really like that. So if you want to do that. Yeah, cicadas, I know some people find them to be annoying or unnerving. I think they're very soothing personally. I just love the noise cicadas make, always have. So I'm about it. Let's see. What else did I get? Yeah. Okay. So jump scares and hiding them is going to be very, very important. So we have to make it believable, but we also have to hide the visual aspect of some of these. Other ones we're going to be able to support with visuals, but they're going to have to be really thin. So what I mean is like a door shutting. So another good thing about scope, Tony and I were talking about this before stream, is I think we don't want to do doors that the player can actually open and close. And the reason for that is scope, because when you do make a consideration for doors, you need a reason why the player is going to open and close doors. You don't want to arbitrarily just throw shit in your game. So if opening and closing a door doesn't serve the player experience, we don't need to include it in the game. So I think what will be easier to create an intuitive gameplay experience is none of the doors will be openable, and any path that a player could take will always be an open doorway that they walk through. So that saves us from having to make the interaction for the door, set up a manager for the open or closed state of all the doors. There's just a bunch of technical concerns that come into play when you have doors in a game. So get rid of that shit, If we can avoid it, then we should. And that's kind of like that's a really good scoping exercise and production techniques, is if you don't need it, don't put it in the game. Frog noises, 100% frog noises. Really like frog noises. Gleep, gleep, dude. Yeah. Raccoons knocking over garbage cans. Yeah, I think just the implication of something nearby is more important than actually having a raccoon in the game. So we can get the sense that something has knocked over garbage cans and it's right around the corner from you. So there might be something there, because that's what we need to play with for the psychological horror aspect is did something actually occur or not? Was the sound real or is it in your head? So that's going to be very useful for us. One of the pluses for psychological horror is a lot of the feeling a player gets that makes them unnerved or uncomfortable with a situation and, leads into that anxiety and that fear is the implication that something happened without actually paying off that it actually happened. So what I'm trying to say is we don't need to show everything. And that gives us a better scope, because we don't have to literally make a 3D model that's animated, that's doing stuff to convey the thing that we're trying to get the player to understand, So, yeah. Anyway, LFQ says, Tony, that's some wild geometry you got going on there. I think he was watching you try to scale that corner piece.
Definitely.
Acid Hex, what are you doing with frogs in Jamaica, bro? Turning Cock says, I built a red lantern and went into the woods at night. Man, I've not been that on edge in my life because I could hear animals move all around me. Yep. Yes. Acid says, not sleeping with the frogs in Jamaica. Nice, dude. You grew up in the woods. Dude, the woods at night are like one of the scariest things in reality that you can possibly do. So he said the frogs were a fire alarm. That's amazing. Oh, I just noticed, Rayon, thank you for the follow. I'm sorry to miss that, but thank you so much for following us, and thanks for hanging out. We're working on a horror game for the month of October. We're doing, the whole game in the month of October, shipping at the end. So this is a scoping exercise. There's a bunch of stuff we're doing here to hit these targets. But yeah, just in case you're wondering like who we are or what's going on or any of that, happy to talk to you about that and explain a little more about what Fractal Grove is. But either way, appreciate the follow. Thank you for being here and hanging out with us. Let's see. Yeah, so Tony is working on sidewalks. We were looking at the sidewalks that they had for like modular neighborhood and stuff, and they kind of suck. So Tony's making better ones, which is going to be really good because then we'll have more control over how to seed that, what the shapes are, all that other stuff. And we don't have to deal with someone else's geometry. You were looking at City Sample, right, Tony? And that was the one with the really bad sidewalks?
Yes. Yep.
Turning Cock says they're GOAT. Tony did not like them. I mean, we looked at the topology for one of them, and it was like a Voronoi fractal with like a billion triangles.
Yeah. So like, and they're probably fine because they are nanite and like they work with nanite just fine. But it's just like, I don't know. I don't think we were benefiting from it in the way that it seemed like wasn't necessary for like what I imagine is a lot of overhead. But like, we have a nice innocent rectangular shape here, right? If we look at the wireframe though, like look at that shit. And I don't know. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, that's
again,
crazy
it worked fine. And then, but like the problem that I was also running into is that this has a pretty customizable material similar to like the road and other things in the City Sample that really lets you control like the level of like dirt and grime and patches and oil stains and puddles and all of that. And so I needed them to be pretty clean for the illusion thing that we're doing, because if you add any sort of like staining or anything, it's randomized enough that like if you would go through the portal thing that we have, you would kind of see the road change abruptly. And so I had to remove all of that. And I made the sidewalks pretty clean too, just because, we're supposed to be in a suburban neighborhood, not downtown New York City. But the corner pieces that they have are just like this. And I mean, this looks great, don't get me wrong. And even the mesh isn't bad. Like it doesn't look like that other one. It looks pretty good. But the material here is not customizable at all. This is just like some good old textures on something, and they look great, don't get me wrong, but it clashes really hard with like, we basically had them kind of looking like this, so, pretty clean, still a nice concrete texture and stuff, but very big contrast to what's going on here. So I'm just gonna remodel something that kind of matches I made my own sidewalk mesh here. You guys probably just saw me working on it. Just kind of Colorado neighborhood angled gutter sidewalk, pretty basic shape, but I need to make like a corner thing like this that kind of matches up with that. So just trying to do that real quick because the gutters also kind of like cover up some holes in the road shapes and stuff that I would like.
Hey, what's up, Kumzi? I'm guessing you don't follow us or anything. So LFQ dropped 20 gifted at the stream start. So that, I guess you're just on Twitch, so it sent you a gift sub. Either way, welcome. Thanks for hanging out, and thank you for the follow. Enjoy your sub. We've got some fun emotes, so feel free to spam those in chat. Just a little bit about us. Fractal Grove is a game studio based in Colorado, and we are working on a game for October. We're making a liminal space walking simulator horror game, psychological horror. and we're going to, the goal is to build the whole game in the month of October and ship at the end of the month and put it up on Steam and stuff. So we're doing a little bit of a challenge, but yeah, we've got some other projects in flight that we've been working on. We only stream 4 hours a week, so yeah, that's who we are. I'm Vince, and my business partner and co-founder over there is Tony. So yeah, we're the two guys that started the studio, and yeah, that's the whole point of the stream is we come here, we talk to you guys about video games, video game news. We show you how to use Unreal. We talk about the process of game dev, all of that stuff. I've got 15 years of experience as a professional game designer. I've worked on, anything from AAA to mobile, or mobile to AAA, whatever you want to call that. Done stuff for Disney, for, robots, a bunch of different shit. Biggest game I worked on was Destiny 2. That's back here. I made The Whisper in 0 Hour, if you're familiar with Destiny 2. But yeah, that's who we are. I can go into more stuff, but we've got some regulars who hear the spiel all the fucking time. So I'm trying to make it shorter and quicker for them so that I don't keep annoying you guys with the elevator. But yeah, so today we are working on our game called Dread, and we're going to be doing that for the whole month of October. So all of our streams are going to be focused on Dread dev because we've got, arbitrary, but we decided it was the fixed amount of time that we're going to spend working on this game so that we can get it out and just prove like, hey, we can make a game with an asset flip in a month and put it out on the market. That's why our main game that we're working on is, it's called Hyperskate. That's why this takes so long and why it's so much effort. It's a PC VR game. Let me drop some links for you. If you're building your own stuff, Kumzi, and you like game dev, hop into our Discord. We help people out in there a lot. And if you just want to share your work or talk about stuff, like that's also welcome. If you want to see what we're working on or check out our other channels, follows and subs very much help us. What we do with that is we fund the game studio with it. So if you decide that you like hanging out here and you want to sub to us, or sub on YouTube is free. All of the money that comes from live streaming goes directly into the business. And because of that, because of wonderful people like LFQ who gift us subs, we can cover operations costs for the game studio. So that's, web server hosting, software licenses, asset packs we need to buy, paying someone to make an asset for us, stuff like that. That's where it all goes. We don't have enough money yet to pay ourselves, but eventually that's the dream. And working on this game, making Dread, we'll have another product. We'll have a product out there on the marketplace that people can buy. So yeah, that's who we are, and that's where we're at. Turning Cog says, yesterday I was building some motor animations. I learned like 7 new concepts and got 5 of them working reasonably well. Are you wait? Yeah, go ahead, Tony.
I was just gonna say, did you use like control rig or something like that?
Yeah, I wanted to know why you were animating the motor itself. Are you just doing the exterior things, like the radiator fan that's belt driven, a subtle animation on the motor itself, like wiggling in the engine bay? Like, what are you going for? Yeah, Kumzi, tell us a little bit about yourself. Like, what's your, what do you like on Twitch? And like, have you ever watched software and game dev? Did you just randomly get assigned a gifted sub because Twitch doesn't know how to give gifteds for channels with, not enough follows or whatever, right? Like, I'm curious about that whole process too. We're not professional streamers. We're a game studio first and foremost, and we make video games. So that's something to know. Even saying that, we do have a very complicated stream setup. Tony and I are in physically different locations, and we have a third PC that does video encoding and pushes that out to Twitch and YouTube at the same time. Which reminds me, I need to pull up a YouTube window to make sure I'm not missing anyone over there. All right, cool. I got some chat going on this sucker. Okay, sweet. Let's see. Watch a bit of software stuff on here. Infrastructure, K8's Cloud Guy. All right. Or is that K8S?
That's Kubernetes.
Oh, Kubernetes. All right, sweet. Nice, dude. Well, if you're interested in any of, we don't talk about DevOps a whole lot because we don't really have a dedicated DevOps person, but, Tony does a lot of that. So Omni Dynamic has been helping us with some DevOps.
Greg's here too. He can talk about it better than I can.
Yep. And Omni's been very, very, very helpful, especially for Dread. Stood up a server instance for us of source control for Dread and all of that. In addition to that, he's helping out with some audio design, which is really cool. It's fun. Turning Cock says, I was using blueprints for the most part. Yeah, the externals. The Valve train dance is the most satisfying thing to me, so I'm working towards that. And bell crank arms for steering and shit. Okay. Motor vibration. The
so you're doing like an IK setup for controlling a car? It's interesting.
What's up, Zisk Dev? Currently making an RPG small open world game. Any friendly tips? Open world game isn't small.
Yeah.
Maybe think about scope. You're already in RPG land, which is a ton of systems design. So there's a lot of design work in there. I would say think about scope. I mean, that's a big thing that we're doing with Dread right now is considering scope and how we can keep it to what is necessary to be in the game so that we can ship it in a month. So that's kind of the biggest tips that I could give you. Otherwise, what's your favorite engine and like what engine are you building it in? Because that's a question I see a lot is like, what's the best engine to use? And the answer to that is actually somewhat vague. We use Unreal at Fractal Grove. That's our favorite tool because it's the most robust one. The pricing model's fantastic too, which is to say free until you publish a game. And then you got to pay Epic a little bit if you make over a certain amount of money with your game. Let's see. Yeah, are you 3D? Are you 2D? 2.5D? Like, what's your art style that you're going for too? Because I think that's another consideration. And are you solo dev or are you working with a team? So there's a lot of suggestions that I can give you. A lot of the best open worlds I played recently have been basically endless runners using PCG and some BS. That's interesting. So I guess
name a game that's like that.
Yeah. I was going to say, how would you compare that to like, a Far Cry game or an Assassin's Creed game? Because I think Ubisoft does the open world more than anyone else. They basically put open world systems in every game. So I see like a big difference there between like an Endless Runner. Because I would almost say Endless Runner doesn't seem like an open world game to me. It seems very linear. Because you're always kind of going in one direction, right? Drive Beyond Horizon. I don't even know what the fuck that is, dude. Let me look here. Dude, what is this even? Ziskdev says it's a stylized game, but at the moment I'm using Unity because I don't need the heavy graphics that Unreal provides. There's a group of 3 of us, so we aren't a big group at all. It's more of a hobby. Yeah, that's all good. So if Unity is what you guys are comfortable with, that's great. You can definitely make a low visual fidelity game or a stylized game in Unreal. You don't need Unreal just gives you a lot more options out of the box. I've done Unity dev on ship projects too. And the thing that I don't like about Unity is that it doesn't come with a whole lot. Unreal comes with like pretty much everything you can imagine. So prototyping is really, really easy and fast once you get good at Unreal. So, for this game Dread that we're building, it's a liminal spaces psychological horror game. That's the only player verbs are like walking simulator and point and click inspection for like narrative and context clues and stuff like that. We're not going to be making any puzzles. That being said, there is a puzzle aspect to the game where it's sort of like infinite corridors, but they're not actually infinite. It's like half infinity, meaning it's like the Lost Woods in Ocarina of Time. So if you choose the wrong path, you go back to the beginning. If you choose the correct path, you continue to advance through the maze or through the procedurally generated environment. So your goal is to reach the end. The player is always given a choice of 3 directions, straight, left, or right, and only one of those directions will be the correct one per environment section that you're in. Let's see. Creates a vastness most people expect, but still shows you a direction. Okay, so you're talking about Drive Beyond Horizons. Motor Town is a pretty good indie traditional open world. Your goal is to bring cargo back and forth across the map. Yeah, I would say like Death Stranding is definitely like an open world game too. Yeah. Zistev says, I got told Unreal is very overwhelming from someone switching. Do you think that's true? No. It's just different. It's really, really different.
You understand game engines and programming and 3D stuff, you know. There's going to be some learning curve while you figure out the interface and the tools and stuff like that, but I don't think it's going to be that hard for you. There's a lot of parallels between any of the game engines.
Especially if you're brand new. I think if you're brand new and you're deciding to do the project yourself, I would encourage you to use Unreal. I don't know how far along you are into the project. If you guys have already stood up like a prototype and you've got some gameplay in there and you're building things, don't switch, because it's going to be incredibly jarring and set your team back, weeks or months as everyone learns a new tool. But yeah, I think Unity is it's a little thin out of the box. Unity is a fine engine. I would prefer Unity or Unreal over Godot or GameMaker or any of the other ones that are like free that, those aren't even free anymore. But any of the like open source, turbo indie ones that people really like to use because they're like, I don't want to support a big company. I want to do a small thing. That's silly. There's a reason why Unreal is a big company. It's a very, very good game engine. For what it's worth, AAA studios, they don't use, for the most part, they don't use a third-party engine. They pretty much all have rolled their own engines and they've got their own solution. The reason for that is because you get a distinct aesthetic and a distinct game feel. So that's how you get, for example, at Bungie, like Destiny plays like a Halo game. Like it feels like a Bungie Halo game. And that's because of the game engine that they have, which is all proprietary in-house tools. So the best answer for like what engine you should use is what's the one you're most comfortable with, that you feel like you're the most powerful with and you can make the most things as fast as possible. If you're new, you're not going to have an answer to that. So I would suggest Unreal, just based off of my experience using proprietary game engines and boxed products. I've pretty much used all of them. So yeah. We aren't far, but I'm not curious. I'm curious, would Unreal be that much better for a small group of people? Only in terms of like, Unreal just comes with shit that you can use, and you enable a plugin in the engine, and then you suddenly have like a new feature set. It has a lot more templates for different types of games to make too. Yeah, it's just a more complete product out of the box. Unity often requires that if you want to make a certain kind of game, you have to build a feature in the engine to support that gameplay or that visual that you're looking for. Unity's fine. It's just, I would say it's like Linux versus Windows. Like you can do everything that you can do and, that you want to do in both things, but there's a little more constraints in like Unreal. That's not even true. Like you can really do whatever you want in Unreal. Programming languages are a consideration. Unity uses C#, Unreal uses C++, but Unreal also uses a blueprint system, which is really, really nice. You don't need to learn to code. So if you don't have any engineers on your team and you're trying to set up complex logic, Unreal is going to be way better for you because you just use the blueprint system. And once you learn that, it's almost like, would you say it's pseudocode, Tony, or like visual scripting?
No, I mean, it's still code. It's just like,
yeah, I just mean like
in C++, right? You can just like write some shit in the file and hit save and hit compile, and it's not going to run. And you can't do something like that in a blueprint. It's not going to let you. So,
yeah. So there's just trade-offs. I think that's the important thing to know. There's pros and cons to each one. I personally think Unreal's just better. It's very similar in the user interface and user experience to a lot of tools that I've already used. Yeah, they kind of like define all of the best practices and UX conventions for a good game engine. Yeah, you're welcome, man. And anytime, if you have any questions, like this is a part of what we do at the stream is we talk about all this stuff with people. So let me drop you some links, Dev. We only stream 4 hours a week. We're not professional streamers. We do this to, build our audience, build our community, support funding the game studio. All of the, sub revenue and anything we get from live streaming goes directly into the game studio so that we can pay for software licenses, web server hosting, we cover operations costs with it. So it's really good. We're not at the point yet that we can pay our team members. So we're all just kind of doing it for the love of the game right now. But Tony and I are in a position where we're able to do this full time, and it works for us. We're not going to be destitute or homeless or anything. So we'll be perfectly fine. That does make it harder with collaborators on our projects because I know not everyone's in that position. And so we kind of take help where we can get it from really anyone. So yeah. Just one more quick question. Any specific version of Unreal that's better than the rest? Tony might have some thoughts on that because I think, Tony, you started with 4.6 or 4.8 and now we're using 5.6.
Yeah, I mean, these days, especially if you're just starting, you just get the most recent version. It's always going to be the best one. And that generally applies almost across the board. There will be very specific use cases that some people will have for using UE4 over UE5 because they took a few things out in UE5 that some people like to use. But again, if you're just starting out and your idea is fairly straightforward, just 5.6 is the main version right now.
One caveat: don't get a preview version because there's incomplete features in those that have bugs, and you might end up chasing your tail trying to figure out why this thing isn't working, and it's literally just the engine doesn't work the way you think it does yet. So be careful with that. What's up, Adder? UE4 is greater than UE5 for baked lighting. Okay, Okay, Adder is
that'd be one of the circumstances there for sure.
Yeah, Adder is a lighting and visual effects. I'm trying to do you justice here. Dude has a very wide skill set in game art and lighting, so literally an expert. You should trust his opinion on art. So yeah, guy works in AAA, has been doing it for 17 years or something, so he's been around for a while doing his thing. Trust what Adder says. Turning Cock says all versions of Unreal are scuffed in different small ways.
True.
Yeah, absolutely.
Early versions of UE5 are kind of unusable though. So if it's a question of is there a specific version worth using? Some people will go back to UE4 and use the last version of that came out that's pretty stable, or they're usually using one of the more recent versions of UE5 because almost all of them have come with performance and stability improvements over time, I think.
No game engine is perfect. They all have problems. The most complete product that gives you the best options for anything you want to do is Unreal. You just finished your Red Bull too? I'm almost there, brother. Man, I'm anxious about Brightside. I want to know how his weekend went. Homie got hitched. Adder, are you next weekend or next month? Or did you already get married? I feel like you're right there too, aren't you? Didn't both of you have weddings right next to each other? Next year. Okay, sick. That's still awesome, man. But yeah, I hope Brightside made it through. You know what I mean? I'm sure he was partying all weekend and having a great time. I just want to know how he is, but I also don't want to bother him. I don't want to be hey, dude, how'd it go? He doesn't need his internet friends bothering him when he's doing real life shit. So. We wanted to hold off to save some more money and weather the state of the industry. That's a very smart decision. The timing on a wedding isn't very important. It's important, but Yeah, the wedding's not really for you. It's for the people who care about you. It's like a party and celebration of you, but it just goes by so fast. Brightside is busy getting cooties. Bro, he probably already had cooties. Been together 11 years, so no rush. Exactly. And if it becomes a thing where like both of you really care about the commitment to each other, just go get a fucking marriage license, you know? Just go make it real, make it legal, and then hold your party when the timing is right. I think that's the key. But also don't delay it forever. You know, you should definitely still do the thing because it changes stuff. It's like a different vibe. It's like suddenly it's very real when you have both of your families like integrating, and you've got the, you know, extended family and the extra relatives and all that. It's a different thing, and all the friends groups get together. It changes things. It's real. Getting married in SoCal, so can't go wrong with the time of year. Yeah, dude, that's great. Yeah, thank you for the follows, Zistev. Thanks for hanging out. I hope that if you have questions and you're curious about technical implementation of things, Tony's an Unreal expert, so you can ask Tony those things. If you want to know about game design and like the kind of game you're building and how to deliver on certain player experiences and all that, that's my specialty. That's what I do. So if you want to talk about those things, I'm happy to help. Good example is there's an indie dev who comes around and is a part of our community named Queen Anne, and Queen Anne is working on I think it's a 2.5D platformer with some very interesting mechanics. And she posted a build and looked for some, you know, was looking for some feedback. So I gave her some feedback, played it, basically sat down with her for like 90 minutes and just talked through like, you know, some of the things that are working, some things that aren't working, how to approach some things to change a little bit of the game feel, stuff like that. So I won't be like, you know, hey, I found a bug on level 3 where like the UI gets weird. That's not the kind of you know, feedback I'll give you. I'll give you more high-level experiential feedback because that's my bread and butter. I've also done that with the aforementioned Brightside. He's working on, dude's a music producer. He built a game called Silent Sonata, and I met him long after he had already shipped that, and he's been working on a game called Slice and Dice Pizza Shop Simulator. And solo dev, he's never done this before. You know, he's only made one game. He's only been doing it for about 2 years. So I gave him a bunch of feedback on some of the experiential blind spots or weaknesses in his game, and he said it was very valuable. So I hope that that's still true, and he ships a game that he's happy with. Adder says, in Texas, we're already considered legally hitched based on proven time, legally sharing a place of living, benefits, taxes, etc. Just a formality. That's awesome. So you got the common law. Got to tighten up those graphics on that level. Yeah, tighten up the graphics on level 3, man. What was that fucking stupid ass? What was that university or training program? I can't even remember now. I want to say it was Full Sail, but I'm pretty sure it was not Full Sail. Is Full Sail still a thing? I feel like at the beginning, people were like really excited about Full Sail, and then later people were like, this place is predatory and it's dog shit. I could just be slandering them unintentionally. I'm not. That's not my opinion. These are just things that I heard. So I don't know if Full Sail is still a thing or not. Acid X, yeah, I know. Whoops. I forget sometimes about here on the internet making public statements. This is just my opinion. This is rumors. This is shit I've heard. I'm not trying to talk shit about Full Sail. If anyone's out here, don't come for me. I didn't mean it. Also, guys, today, Sober October. It's gonna be weird, but here we go. I'm getting in. No smoke, no drink, no nothing for the whole month. I'm gonna grow my beard. I'm gonna be focused on Dread Dev. I think Omni was saying he's gonna try to grow a beard too. That'll be fun. It'll be a good dev beard. But yeah, by the end of the month, I'll have a full beard. The bitch will just be nice and fluffy. Acid Hex knows. He's seen my beard in person. Undecided on the beard? All right, come on, bro. Shave off the goatee. Get the beard going. Do the whole beard. Let's go. It'll be fun. Facial hair grows back. You can always change it. Yeah. Turning Cog, Tony cannot grow a beard, unfortunately. We've discussed this.
No, not even a little bit.
If he could, he would grow a beard, guaranteed. I was joking that we should get him like one of those, crocheted or knit beards so that he can wear that. It'd be really funny. I do have a beard autumnal season, bro. I'm excited. Acid, when I was in Washington, living in Seattle, I had to kill that seasonal beard growth because every motherfucker out there has beards, and it wasn't interesting at all. It also didn't really get cold enough to want a beard. Here in Colorado, it definitely gets cold enough during the winter, and it's really nice. So neither can I. I have crusty beatnik goatee. Yeah, beards and flannels is Pacific Northwest, especially game devs. Every game dev in the Pacific Northwest is a doughy fucking white guy with glasses and a beard. And like, I was just like, I'm not trying to be a part of this group. That ain't me. Luckily, I'm not a doughy white guy, but yeah. And I mean, like, a little bit chubby, a little bit thick, whatever you want to call it, whatever euphemisms are acceptable on the internet nowadays. Tony is making a sidewalk. We were looking at modular neighborhood stuff for sidewalk and PCG, and it wasn't quite there for what we needed. So he's just making his own meshes, and that'll work better with the PCG. Sorry for the coughing, guys. I decided to go a little harder than normal because it was my last week before Sober October, so I got a bit of the lung irritation, if you know what I mean. Yeah, dude, beards and flannels, man, that's triggering me so much. And there's like a haircut that everyone gets. It's like the same fucking haircut. The thing that the one situation that really made me go like, all right, fuck this, I'm never wearing a beard again at Bungie was I grew my beard out and coworkers were like, I like it, man. It's cool. You're like a young Ben. And I was like, what? Why do you think I'm a young Ben? And they're like, oh, you just look like him. And I think they were trying to say like, you're a thinner looking Ben. He has a nice beard. You have a nice beard too. And I was like, I'm older than that dude, right? And they're like, no, you're not. And I was like, yeah, I'm older than him by like 6 fucking years. So how am I a young version of that guy? It was weird as fuck, man. I do know I look young. I'm aware of that. Much younger than I actually am. It's weird. People are fucking ageist everywhere, man. I got a lot of what I would get condescendingly is like, you've done a lot of things for being a young man, and so I think maybe you just need to like stay in your lane and like give it some time and pay your dues. And I'm like, dude, I'm fucking older than you. Like, what are you talking about? I've done paid dues. Age gracefully. I seem to be, bro. I do. I mean, okay. My hair's getting a little thin, but I still got it all. All of the men in my family are bald as fuck, and they all went bald by like 32. So I made it. I'm 10 years past that. Still got my hair. It's only a little gray. Here, I'll get closer. You guys can see the gray. It's in my sides here. It's like kind of white in this area. I got a little bit of the Doctor Strange going on. Yeah. I've got it in my beard too. You guys will see as my beard grows out, I have like a gray patch right here. It's coming a little bit in the sideburns and like leaking in, but I'm, salt and peppery. What do we have for game news today, guys? There's not much, I'll be honest. I was poking around at the game industry news. Oh, I just realized I have another window open over here. This is like tracking stuff and documentation for Dread. So Zisk Dev, if you're wondering what I mean about scope and how to really like do paper design for your project to get you started off in a good way, I can talk to you about a lot of that too. One of the core concepts that I learned in making video games over the last 15 years is to set up some pillars for your game. And these are design pillars. They're basically like core things that your game must have and that support the vision for the game. And you can't violate those pillars, because when you do, you start making features that you don't need and you get out of scope, you get feature creep, you get a muddy experience. You don't have this like cohesiveness. So if you're still around and you want to talk about any of that stuff, I'm happy to. I did go over pillars at the top of the stream already, but I'm happy to talk to you again about it. So, I don't know what your capacity is on your team, like what your role is or anything, but yeah. Okay, so game news. Let's look at this horrible website. There's not a lot. I will touch on a couple of things that, you know, we should probably talk about, like EA's purchase to make them a private company is pretty fucking crazy. So I think we should talk about that a little bit. But before we get into that, because I think that's going to take up most of the time just talking about that. Oh, here we go. BioWare expecting to either get shuttered or absorbed. Are you talking BioWare Austin? Avalanche project cancellation, layoffs via Microsoft, Blizzard hiring a bunch for more than one new project. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know Blizzard was hiring. BioWare as a whole under the EA buyout. Oh shit, dude, that's crazy. I already knew Edmonton was in a bad way, but I didn't expect like all of it to go away. Wait, isn't Edmonton gone? I feel like they had some shit go down after Andromeda, and they had just come off of Anthem as a flop, and I think they closed Edmonton, but I don't remember. Yeah, all of BioWare is expecting to be absorbed. I think they're still there just as a support team. I mean, dude, Bungie like that. One thing that I was checking out over the weekend, we talked about this a couple weeks ago, but Pete Parsons is gone. He gracefully stepped down. I was speculating that Pete got fired. I think Pete just dipped because his fucking merger investment hit and he just cashed out. So the dude basically gutted Bungie, sold its soul, and pocketed everything he could, and then fucking left. Good old Microsoft Pete, dude. So
I mean, if I had to work for Sony, I'd probably do the same thing. But
well, he's the guy that made the choice to go work for Sony.
Well, it was probably part of the plan all along. You like 100%. Dump these clowns on Sony and get the fuck out of here.
So here's the crazy thing about Pete. Bungie has gone through a lot of stuff in their history as a studio. They were independent. They made Halo, and part of making Halo was being acquired by Microsoft to become a support studio with a lot of autonomy. Pete was the liaison for Microsoft between Bungie and Microsoft, and so he was not he didn't have the best interests of Bungie in mind. And then Harold Ryan was the CEO at the time. Harold Ryan was fired by the board, I think, in the first year I was at Bungie. So we're talking like 2015. Pete took over. We're looking at 10 years later. Pete has completely fucking destroyed Bungie and cashed it out and like sliced it up and sold off all its parts. So the evil guy actually won. He got in. He did his thing. He carved it up and took his money and dipped. That fucking sucks. Anyway, so I didn't mean to get off onto the Bungie thing. Let's see. Might be full remote though. That's what I do too. Get the fuck out. Microsoft has quickly become a US-based Tencent. Yep. And I mean to say that in the worst way possible. EA to be acquired by PF, Silver Lake, and Affinity Partners in an all-cash. Yep, $55 billion. Yeah, dude, it's a crazy headline, crazy news story, Acid. So we'll get into that. I just want to touch on a couple things real quick. Let's see. Xbox Game Pass is more expensive. One of the things that I wanted to touch on as well is Rock Band 4 is going to be delisted and shut down because the licenses for the game's soundtrack expire. It was only a 10-year license for the game, so they're shutting it down. Let's talk about SKG. How the fuck does Rock Band live in an SKG world that's mandated by law? The answer is you don't get Rock Band. No one would make it. Just can't happen. because if you have to have
do they
indefinite
even
licenses,
do they put licensed music in games anymore?
I think mostly they avoid that shit.
I was gonna say, because like if you think of to like the, I don't know, Xbox 360 era, like that was a defining feature of just about every game that would come out, especially like any EA game or something would have like pretty good soundtrack, and all of them are very big popular songs that had to be licensed. And you'll always see, you know, the remasters come out and it's like a big deal when they got most of the original soundtrack in there or something. But yeah, I don't even know if it's like a stop killing games thing, but it's just like the whole like licensing of music specifically, and they're starting to move it to like video and some other things, is like kind of getting out of hand. I don't really know what the solution is to it, but it just, you know, it's just crazy how we've gone from a world where like every game had crazy licensed music in it and stuff to like none do, and you know, nobody would even dream of doing such a thing these days. So
yeah, and I mentioned SKG specifically for this because that's a consideration. That's a non-starter. If you have to have a game that lives forever, anytime you endeavor to make a game, how do you possibly license music forever? You just can't. And when the music licenses expire, you're gonna have to shut the shit off, and you can't sell it anymore. Like, that's how those licensing deals work. When you sell a thing, you got to give people money for it. So if you don't have the rights to continue selling it, you have to turn it off. So like that immediately would be in violation of SKG's tenets, and that just means people will never use licensed music. That's
which I think we're already kind of seeing that that's the case in reality, regardless of SKG, which is like, I don't know, yeah.
Damn, Adder's talking about the continuation of the game dev apocalypse. Yeah, all right, let's hop into it. Let's start talking about it then. So, in case you guys were unaware, there's a massive buyout of EA. And when I say massive, I mean that the whole business of Electronic Arts is going to be purchased by private investment, which will take the company private. They will no longer be public, and they won't be held to a they'll no longer be subject to the whims of the controlling share members. It's just not going to happen anymore. So the reason I'm approaching it this way is because a lot of people are like doom and gloom and really scared and don't know what the fuck is going to happen and very worried and concerned. I'm going to talk about what I think might be some positives, but then we can talk about the doom and gloom. So when a company goes private, that's when they get full control to do whatever the fuck they want. And it's because they don't have an obligation to shareholders to make the business profitable and meet, you know, investment returns and financial quarterly statements and shit like that and projected growth. There's a lot less of a leash on the business entity. The trade-offs there is when you go public, you get a lot of money. And what that means is you use that money to grow your business. You don't just get the money and it goes in your pocket. Like, it doesn't really work that way. There are some circumstances under which it does, but the people who would say, you know, do a deal to be like, oh yeah, you can have some of this money, they're expecting a much bigger return on the amount of money that they put into the business. So it's different. Stocks and publicly traded companies are obviously much more complicated than that, but I think that's kind of the important takeaway here. So when the company goes private, that means people can't buy stock for EA anymore. It's just not going to be out there. And when you buy stock, you're giving the company money, expecting the value of that to change and go up. So you're like a much smaller scale investor in the business, and your goal is to make money off of the little bit of money you loan them. So that's how stock trading works. When you're private, you can really do whatever you want. You have a lot more freedom. Now, the concerns here, the investment firms that are buying EA, and it looks like this deal is 100% going through, are, let's see, Adder, I think, no, Asset Hex listed it. PIF, Silver Lake, and Affinity Partners. I can't remember what Affinity Partners is, but I think it's in like a megacorp hedge fund or some shit like that, or maybe an entertainment conglomerate. The important ones here are Silver Lake, which is an investment firm operated by Jared Kushner, and PIF, which is a governing financial investment body for the Crown of Saudi Arabia. So we got some shit going on with EA right now. It's going to be weird. It's going to be real weird. Adder brings up a good point that not a lot of people are discussing. And my assumption here is that these people doing this, $55 billion business deal are aware of the, they have to be made aware of the outstanding debt to JP Morgan Chase at $20 billion that EA holds. So the speculation, rightfully, as Adder is saying, is that when they do this acquisition, they're going to become very austere to try to shore up that debt as much as possible so that they get the biggest return on their $55 billion investment. So they're going to have to account for that $20 billion. That's immediately a loss. So they're going to probably cut a bunch of jobs and projects. And, that's the assumption, is that the next couple of years, EA is going to become very tightened up, very quiet. We're not going to know what's happening with them because they're private. They don't have to do any public disclosure stuff. So a lot of the news and the rumors and stuff that people get about the happenings at AAAs come from publicly traded companies because they have to do financial quarterly reviews that are public because shareholders need to know what the fuck is happening with the business. So that's all going to go away. We're just not going to know what the fuck EA is doing. It's all going to be an inside source talking to the press is the only way we're going to know stuff, or public, PR statements and shit. Let's see. Adder says Retro Studios, Nintendo, and Austin just let their whole range of contractors go today with a word of some layoffs of full-time as Metroid 4 wraps. I mean, I feel like that's just kind of the thing that, I've been talking about on the stream for a while, is that making games is like gig work, meaning that you make a game and you should expect to not stick around the studio. And as you get close to finishing, you should probably start looking for another job just to keep yourself safe. It's not really tenable. The way games work is like you start with a core team, builds the prototype, investment money comes in, you can balloon the team up to finish the game. Then when the game gets finished, they have to cut back on those operations costs so that they can make money from the product that they made. So it always goes that way. Team starts small, it balloons, it gets really big, game ships, team shrinks again. It just always goes that way. Turning Cog says the only solution is to build a time machine. I'm assuming that was about SKG and playing old games. Yeah, I mean, it's okay. Stuff goes away. Things change. Adder says we talked about it last week, I think, but they've been rolling out layoffs slowly. 2K Cloud Chamber just finished its full gutting of senior leadership and director suite, working on BioShock 4. That might be a good thing. They could have had bloat. And they could have just been like, we're losing a lot of money on these people that aren't actually contributing very much. We should get rid of them. I don't think it's a bad thing when management gets cut like that. It's generally a good thing, especially with middle management. BioShock 4 being rebooted after being rebooted off of a reboot. Yeah, that is definitely the correct choice, is you have to hold the leadership accountable, because if you leave those dudes in that position, they're just going to make another decision like that again.
It's like the same with Metroid Prime 4. That game was announced in 2015 and is just now making it out. And I would have to imagine that's probably more on Nintendo, but somebody lost some money on that at the end of the day, I'm sure.
Absolutely. Acid Hex is talking stocks with EA. Shareholders are going to receive $210 per share in cash, according to the buyout. A 25% premium. The EA board unanimously approved it. Closing is expected Q1 of financial year 27. So what is that like? It's not March, right? It's like the second quarter. Like that, I think Q1 starts in March.
Starts in March, yeah, I believe so. Yeah. So
we're probably looking at like summer. And the timing of the buyout is really important too, because that's when Battlefield 6 is going to, Battlefield 6 will have just dropped. They're going to have a nice, big, thick war chest from sales of Battlefield 6. So that'll be interesting. Adder says, not really news, but an industry insider look on VC funding looking towards 2026 plus projects. VCs are starting to lean towards international remote teams that leverage North American and EU experienced leadership, but hiring labor elsewhere, leading the way to an industry that is dominated by low-cost outsourced labor purely to meet investor demands. Yeah, I would strongly believe that. That's not shocking to me whatsoever. I mean, shit, maybe I should go back and pitch again and be like, hey, guys, we're going to work with people in another country. Which, by the way, when I say that, it's not to cut costs. There are extremely talented developers that live in like Eastern Europe, for example, and South America that can't find work. They are much happier with a lower wage. That's not to say that they don't deserve a higher wage, but it's easier to have a happier team that will work just as hard, if you outsource. And a lot of these guys are hungry for jobs and they want to get in there. So it's worth it. I've worked with some really cool people out of Eastern Europe and South America, really awesome developers. And they just have a different mentality. Some people in the US can be very entitled and take their positions for granted and just more difficult to work with. So that's not to say I don't want to be unfair with people or put more money in my own pocket. That's not the goal here. We want to make good games at the end of the day, and finding the best developers for our budget is the most important thing. On the note of the 20 billion in debt, the word was that they'll owe an extra 150 million in just interest if they don't pay by X date. Damn. Adder says, I intentionally avoid working for Nintendo for that reason. They're fairly well known to senior devs that they'll hire you full time but treat you like a contractor to avoid paying bonuses and shit. Yes, I've actually heard that a lot too. I've heard Nintendo is very difficult to work for because they're very much run like a Japanese company, and we're not used to that in our society. We don't understand how that works, and it can be a very negative experience for especially like American developers. Nintendo canceled and rebooted Metroid 4 more than once. Yeah, that was Tony's point. A couple of the ex-Retro leads were teammates at Arcane. Sounded like a shit show. Yeah, I can imagine. Omni says, in the current economic times, I wouldn't be surprised if U.S. local engineer salaries went down a bit. Yeah, I really think they will because the market can't keep up. Like, I think at Fangs that it's not going to go down until the rest of the landscape goes down, like all the other smaller developers are going to be okay. But like Fang jobs are probably going to stay really high because those guys just have infinite money to throw at hiring the best people. A lot of my teammates are Eastern European and they get shit done. Easily my favorite team I've worked with so far. Yeah, exactly, Adder. That's the point that I was trying to make. Eastern European devs are fucking amazing. They're really, really good. Obviously there can be communication barriers, but you tell them to like do some shit and they will fucking do it. They will over deliver almost every time. And it's great. Sometimes because of the communication barriers and the excitement to work on what they're doing, like to do the work that they're doing, I've noticed that they will like get really deep on some shit we don't need. And they'll be like, I got excited, so I made this whole other thing. And I'm like, oh man, I wish you would just talk to me because like we don't fucking need that. And I'm not going to try to find a way to fix it in or fit it in just because you made it. So like that's the only thing that sucks. Like the enthusiasm and the like very strong work ethic will lead them to like independently develop things with the hope that it gets put into the project. Let's see. Absolutely already happening across the board for software. 20% drops in salaries already a thing compared to 2022. Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Husky. Hey, what's up, Husky? Your buddy has some serious guts for trying to do 3D modeling in Unreal. Nah, Tony's fine. He's done it.
Believe me, I do a better job in Unreal than I could in Blender just because of experience.
He's making a sidewalk too, so it's not super crazy. And yeah, Tony's been doing it for a couple of years, so he's comfy with it. Glad to see you again, Husky. Thanks for hanging out. I feel like you followed last week and we chatted just a little bit, but I don't remember how long ago you were here. It could have been 2 weeks ago. Adder says, in 2022, I could have gotten a tech lead art role for 200 to 220K. Same gig at the same company is being hired for 150 to 170 on the high end today. Yep. But 2022 was also like the peak of the COVID boom and the peak of profit for the game industry. So everyone was just spending like wild, and you know, it's all coming down. Everything's much more tightened up, especially in the last 2 years. So that's where we're at, bro. I think the growth was unsustainable, honestly. So it's probably a good thing. It sucks for us. You know, it doesn't suck for me. I'm running my own company, but it sucks if you're an employee, right? And you're trying to like, you don't have aspirations doing your own thing. You're just trying to make a good paycheck and then make enough to be like, I don't want to do this anymore and change your life and do something else. That's going to be a little harder for sure. But at the same time, a 6-figure salary is, you know, you're in the top, what is it, like 30% or 25% of income earners in the United States, or like top 20%, something like that. And that's like worldwide, you're very rich comparatively. So, you know, it may not feel like it because cost of living in the United States is very, very high, but it's good pay. I'll say that. The growth was unsustainable. It just sucks. It took out companies and teams that didn't deserve the overreaction. Yeah, absolutely. It really does. It's hard because like try to put yourself in the position of being like, you know, I have $500 million. I'm going to give 20 million, a non-insignificant sum of money, to a studio. It doesn't really work this way, but say you're an angel and you've got, you know, tens of millions that you can just throw around at stuff. Your whole goal is to make more money. You don't really care about the business. I know that some of them do, and that's a big part of it, and that's how they choose to invest. Angels are very capricious. They all have different reasons for why they put money into things. But yeah, like, I wouldn't want to just be like, damn, dude, I just threw that 20 million into the trash. Like, I would be like, fuck, I got to get as much money back as I can, which means you guys got to close so I can get my money back. So I get that. And if you're scared of like losing that money, you know, and that's assuming that investors are responsible and they're not playing with all the money that they have, which some might. But I doubt that you get that much money in the first place without being careful about your financial decisions. You know, rich people do not appear rich for many reasons. Rich people also don't spend money. So, yeah. Let's see. What else do we have here? All right. Rock Band is dead. Oh, this is interesting. Adder, you were talking about CDPR and there's a bunch of jobs available. This article was, let me see where this interview came from. Oh, never mind. This isn't necessarily CDPR. This is the author of the Witcher series, Andrzej Sapkowski. He said he like went with a trope. Oh, that was it. In AMA on Reddit's fantasy page, he hopped in there and was answering some things. And they were asking about the Witcher schools, the school of the wolf, the cat, griffin, bear, viper, manticore, and crane. And he was like, I regret doing that. I don't ever want to do that shit again because there's too many parallels to like Harry Potter and shit like that. And he was like, it was just stupid. It doesn't serve the story. It's an idea that I regret. So it sounds like he wants to kill that entirely. And he actually apologized. Yeah, he never intended to do it. And he didn't want to develop it as a narrative concept, but CDPR like ran with it. And yeah, so he has regrets about it. I later deemed it unworthy of development and narratively incorrect, even detrimental to the plot. Therefore, later I never included or referenced any of the Witcher Gryffindors or Slytherins again. Never. So, yep. He said it was, however, that one sentence was enough. Adapters, particularly video game people, have clung to the idea with remarkable tenacity and have wonderfully multiplied these Witcher schools completely unnecessarily. So he's saying that they're like distorting his original work, and he really doesn't like that by doing these Harry Potter schools. LFQ says, my stance on investments is that if you're not ready to lose the lot, you shouldn't throw any money at it. That's how my investments are. Hey, man, you're an investor in Fractal Grove, so I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Yeah, and we want to give you your money's worth out of this. So I hope you feel like it's well spent. Obviously, you know, if you drop 20 on us today, you agree with it. So thank you very much. We're very grateful. CDPR got multiple AAA projects underway with a lot of funding to throw at it. I think they canceled the Witcher multiplayer project being built by Molasses. What's Molasses? Is that a studio or like a partner? It moved to the CB2. What's the CB2? You lost me on some of these terms. I don't keep up as much as I should with the industry. I just try to make good shit. Oh, Molasses is the CDPR US office. Ah, okay. Cyberpunk 2. I got you. Okay, so Molasses stopped working on Witcher and is on Cyberpunk 2. I got you. Yeah, that makes more sense. I'm tracking, brother. Let's see. Adder, I don't know. Were you around when I was talking about the movies I watched this weekend? I was doing more research for Dread, so I've been watching some psychological horror. I watched Eraserhead and American Psycho for the first time. Those were the two that like stuck out that I remember really, really well. I watched some other shit. I was watching Terminal List because I put Sparkle on to Terminal List, and that's fucking great. Oh yeah, Tony, what are your thoughts on the first episode? Did you hate it?
No, I was intrigued. I want to know what's happening. So definitely keep watching it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, Amy was skeptical going in, and then I was like, well, you want to keep watching this? And she's like, yeah, I want to know what's happening. I'm like,
hell yeah. It's really good, man. It's very good. So yeah, Adder, watched Eraserhead for the first time, and I watched American Psycho for the first time for psychological horror research. I started to also realize, I almost watched Donnie Darko again, because I guess that's classified as psychological horror. And then I got to a point where I was like, I don't think psychological horror is actually scary to me, which is kind of a weird feeling. And I realized
Fight Club psychological horror then too.
Absolutely, yeah, because you don't know the nature of reality.
Yeah. Or like, is it Memento, where he like tattoos shit on himself? I love that movie. It's so good.
Memento was definitely listed in, you know, the algorithm suggesting if you liked American Psycho, watch this. Memento, Donnie Darko. Fuck, I wish I could remember the list.
So that's what I'm talking about. Like, I've seen all of these movies except for like 2 of the big ones or something, because there was definitely a period in like high school and college where I watched all of them.
I love movies like that for whatever reason. It's just very interesting to me. I also got like the 4th recommendation in the last like 2 months to play Metal Gear Solid 2 again. For whatever reason, people have been telling me like play Metal Gear Solid 2.
2 specifically?
I haven't played it, but a lot of people like, dude, you got to play that. Like you really. I
do know it's probably the best one for most people. Like I know that, and I've played some of it, and I remember thinking it was really cool, but like I was pretty young and couldn't entirely figure it out at the time.
Sorry, which one couldn't you figure out?
Metal Gear Solid 2.
Oh yeah.
Like I remember definitely playing it through, like you start on the boat and like maybe getting through like the end of that section, but probably not getting too much farther. And I know that that's like not even the important part of the game, because I think you play as Raiden for like most of the game after that, and I never got to that part, so I never knew that. But it was like something that happens like an hour into the game, and I was never able to get there.
Acetex says MGS is the goated series. Dude, so many people will be saying that shit. And for me, like I was talking with the friend who was visiting this weekend about it. And I was like, my first MGS game was Revengeance, which is not like even a fucking Metal Gear game. And then the second one was, or I should say the first one was 4, which is I think Sons of Liberty. The PS3 one.
I think it's Sons of Liberty, yeah.
Yeah, and I got to like Laughing Octopus and beat that boss, and I was like, all right, that was interesting, but I don't really understand this game, and kind of fell off of it. I was borrowing it from someone, so I just gave it back to him. And then the first one that I really, really played was MGS5 Phantom Pain, and I loved it. I had such a good time. That's when it like finally clicked for me, and I was like, I love what this dude's doing with games. I want to play more of his games. And that was when I started to like really get into Kojima. And then Death Stranding was like the first Kojima game that I like really fucking got into. So MGS2 is like, PS1 graphics. I don't know if I can play that. It'll be a hard time for me. That era of graphics was ass to me. I just struggled to enjoy PS1 graphics. Okay, Adder, tell me about Reality. Looks like this is Sydney Sweeney from 2023.
Sold.
Based on the verbatim FBI interrogation transcript of a former U.S. intelligence contractor named Reality Winner. What a weird fucking name. The movie follows Winner's confrontation with the FBI after she leaked a document about Russian interference in the 2016 election. Is this psychological horror? She was actually pretty good in it. Weird ass name. Yeah, I mean, I imagine that she was good in it. Sydney Sweeney's a good actress, like for sure. She's got a lot of range. She's not just pretty face, you know.
Yeah, it's which the face. That's what everybody cares about.
I remember what I was fucking watching. It was called Extant with Halle Berry, and I realized Halle Berry's a fucking terrible actress, but we give her so much leeway because she's super pretty. But her intonation and expressions are the same in every fucking scene, and I started to like put together memories of every role that I've seen her in, and I was like, holy shit, Halle Berry has zero range. I was like, she is so fucking bad. She can cry really well, she can look very upset, but her baseline intonation is like a regular human being. Like, I'm more theatrical in my daily conversation than she is, which I was like, but she's an actress? That's her job? I don't get it. Halle Berry's still 10 of 10. She's gorgeous, so not trying to throw any shade there. All we ever cared about was Swordfish and Monsters Ball. Those were your favorite Halle Berry movies, Acid Hex? Yeah. I know what you mean. I know what you're going for. But yeah, so Extant I thought was going to be really interesting and cool because it has psychological horror elements to it. But Halle Berry's acting is so fucking bad that I was just like, I can't watch any more of this show. This shit is corny. Like, and it was even made worse by the other actors and scenes with her were just so much better. Like, they'd be like, you can't do this, Halle. And she'd be like, I know, I'm so upset. I'd feel like, what the fuck, dude? The least believable voice line delivery. But I also wonder if like her rate is so high that she does like single take and she like won't re-record scenes or something. Is she actually in anything good? Yeah, bro, that Batman where she was Catwoman. Monsters Ball is a really good movie, so you could argue with that. I think Swordfish is a great movie too. You didn't like Monsters Ball? It's not really psychological horror, but they reenacted the 104 minutes of voice recording from the FBI showing up at her house. Director team made a simple conversation into a whole spiral of emotion and intensity. Very interesting. Turning cog with the face palm. Yeah, no. So Tony and I were talking about this the other day. The best cats women were
Attorneys General.
Michelle Pfeiffer and who the fuck was the other one that was like the best Selena Kyle? Damn it.
Oh, you were saying the one from a TV show, and then we realized we weren't talking about the same TV show.
Yeah, the Warner Brothers cartoon Catwoman was perfect, and so was Michelle Pfeiffer Catwoman, even though she had like this weird cat power. Like, that didn't make any sense, but she played Selena Kyle really well. I think that's the important piece. I will say Anne Hathaway's Catwoman was pretty good because she played Catwoman well, but she was a terrible Selena Kyle. So I don't know. It's fucking weird. Yeah, Cat's women's. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you got it. Man, Batman's so fucking played out now. Why do we keep doing this? Who were you saying? Did we talk about this on stream? It was like we've all seen the pearls hit the fucking ground in the alleyway with Bruce.
Yeah, I think it's James Gunn, the guy who just made that recent Superman movie, was just saying like we've seen Superman showing up in a meteor as a baby. We've seen Bruce Wayne's parents getting killed in an alley with the pearls hitting the ground. We've seen like there's like Peter Parker getting bit by the spider, or like seeing Uncle Ben get killed. Like it's just been in like 15 movies, and like we need to tell different stories if we're going to tell the stories again. And I thought that was probably a pretty good statement.
Tony, we just got raided by Stevie Ray. Welcome, Raiders.
Oh shit, let's go. Welcome.
What's up, gang? Tony's modeling some sidewalks for Dread. Yeah, that's what we're doing today. Dread is cranking along. We've got Lost Woods PCG neighborhood working. We've got some audio design research and discovery going. We've got some tracks that we can use. Let's see what else. We've got a couple art palette things set up using modular neighborhoods so that we can seed the PCG for the neighborhood in the exterior section of the game. We have a prototype for player verb interaction going in. That's all working, which is great. So you can like walk up to a barrel and like inspect the barrel, and you get like a text box on the side. You get the like UI element when you get close enough to the collider for the interaction that you can like, it tells you that a thing is going on. So yeah, all that stuff is like, prototype is good. We're almost at the vertical slice, or like, long form playthrough. We're not going to go with a vertical slice because we're not pitching this, but we're going to go end to end, stand up all the systems, and then we can at least play the game with like cubes and shit like that. So we're going that way first. We're really, really close to getting to that point. Tony's working on the sidewalks because sidewalks aren't, we didn't have good stuff for asset packs to use in the sidewalks. We tried out a couple. Tony was like, these are fucking butt cheeks. I don't want to use them. So he's modeling some sidewalk stuff so that we can get all that seeded into the PCG. And Stevie, you'll be pleased or pleasantly surprised to see that he's modeling them after Colorado sidewalks with that weird beveled edge that goes into the gutter. So yeah, it'll be cool.
Yep. We're gonna go try them out now.
I want to see what. Yeah, I mean, we can show like, here you go. This is a really good view of what we got going on now. So this is some good shit.
Yeah, I'll show some of that other stuff I had made recently too. So go on lit here for a second. So this is the infinite neighborhood thing. And you can see if I play, I'm going to start about here. I can go through this portal and I'll come back out here. And it's a pretty nice illusion where you can't really tell when it happens. You'll see some logs on the left about right now. There you go. And so the idea is going to be that this is like a maze, and if you go the wrong way, you end up back at the beginning. But I've built out this big generator thing here where it has a lot of different controls, but I can turn on, for example, like a debug. If I do this, where you can kind of see this blue line is the actual maze path, and the green line is the segment that the player is actively on right now. And so we have to kind of render these straight lines out in the distance so that it looks like the street goes on, even though this is one of those illusory wrong ways. If they were to follow the blue path, they could get all the way to the end. But if they turn down any of the reds, that pops them back out here. And I've been building a lot of debug stuff just to kind of try to figure out how things are working and test and stuff like that. So now I can kind of like snake through this line with this active section. If I press this button, and you'll see that the straight lines off of the active section are always kind of the ones that are rendering, so that we get that illusion. And yeah, it'll snake all the way through, all the way up to the end here.
Yeah, don't worry, Stevie. We want people to feel lost, but we want to give them really good indicators that they're on the correct path. So we're going to use audio and visual tells to be like, when you reach the end of this correct pathway. So you always have a choice of left, right, or straight, just like the Lost Woods Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. You'll always have a three-directional choice. When you pick the wrong one, you'll end up right where you started, and the street will always be the same. When you pick the correct one, you'll go, like, you'll see changes in the neighborhood. So the example,
you'll know that it happened. Like, you'll be like, oh shit, I'm back at the beginning again, because we'll make it each part will be recognizable enough that like you'll go like, oh, I haven't seen this part, so this must be the right way. But
I just want to say, Tony, my goat, he fucking made this shit. So I was like, is this too crazy? He's like, nah, I got this. and then just fucking put this shit together in like 5 days. It's amazing. So we have crazy momentum. Today, Sober October starts. No drink, no smoke. Fucking chilling. Gonna be sober the whole month. Growing my beard out, so it is beard season. I'm gonna wear a beard until March. Yeah, and we're fucking cranking along. We're really scared, nervous, whatever you want to call it, because we're committed. We're gonna make this whole game by the end of October and then put it out on Steam. So we're keeping scope really tight. We've been talking about that a bunch this morning. How to keep scope tight. So I think we can get it done. We have basic prototypes for pretty much every feature that we need in the game so far. Audio is kind of an outstanding question, but Omni is helping us chase that down. I'm working on narrative and art to plug all these things in and get all that together so that we can start fleshing out the space and play end to end. I would imagine that we're getting really close to being able to play the game start to finish. The next big chunk, since we almost have neighborhood solved, is going to be interior space of the spooky mansion that you go into. So that's where you're going to have a lot of the liminal spaces and the pools rooms and library stacks and back rooms and shit like that is all going to be in the spooky mansion. What is this BP plugin? Which one? CLVW? Which one are you asking about? No grass. I don't want to risk touching it. I think we're gonna actually probably use grass because it'll be weird without grass in a neighborhood. We might put fences up if we can't make grass work quickly, just for the sake of scope. So you might just have a fence that prevents the player from going into a yard or something like that. But I don't know. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. The appearance. Also, my friends call me Claw. Oh, well, that's nice. So welcome, Claw. We are new friends. We appreciate you here.
I got electronic nodes and probably darker nodes on here. That's probably what you're seeing.
And Blueprint Assist, right?
Yeah, that doesn't change how it looks. That just formats it for you. But yeah, the look is all electronic nodes.
Hey, what's up, Mega Mocap? Welcome. Also, appreciate you Raiders chatting with us. I'll give you a quick spiel. I'm sure Stevie has told you guys a little bit about us, but we're a game studio in Colorado. Tony and I are the co-founders of the studio. I'm Vince. Tony is... Fuck, I always do this. Where is he? Opposite direction of my sign. There we go. Tony's over there. So I do like creative direction, vision holder stuff things. I'm a professional game designer. I've been doing it for about 15 years. I've worked on everything from mobile to AAA. Notable work for me is Destiny 2. I worked on that for about 5 years. I'm the guy behind the Whisper and 0 Hour. If you're familiar with those missions from Destiny, last major game I worked on was called Return to Moria. I was a lead designer on that. Did procedurally generated hazards and stuff, gameplay moments that are seeded into the world. I did cinematics and a bunch of other shit too. Like in-game cinematic scripted, animations and stuff that would fire off when the player entered a certain area. Your passion is level design. That's awesome, Claw. That's definitely like my bread and butter. That's how I got my start. So I've moved more into like a senior role, in the last like 3 to 5 years of my career. So we hit a spot where we wanted to start a game studio. I was still working for Free Range. I was actually working for Topgolf when we started it, but went full time after Free Range about 2.5 years ago, something like that. We've been streaming full time for 2 years, and I don't mean full time. We've been streaming every Wednesday and every Thursday. Wednesday stream is 10 a.m. to noon, so we're actually close to wrapping up. We got about 15 minutes here left on the stream today, and then Thursdays are 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. You guys should expect for the month of October that we're going to be doing Dread, which is what we're calling this project. We're going to be doing Dread game dev for all of our streams this month. Because we're hyper focused on this. We give ourselves a challenge. The main game that we're working on is called Hyperskate. It's a PC VR game. So we just want to, do an asset flip, something with very simple mechanics, walking simulator, point and click interaction. No real puzzles. The puzzles are going to be the Lost Woods. So you're trying to figure out what the correct path is through this, but liminal space psychological horror is going to be like the theme of this game. So yeah, that's what we're doing. Good to hear. We're going to be good friends. Hell yeah, Claw. Y'all got to make these streams longer, though. Sometimes we do, But so here's our take on it: is the more time we spend streaming, the less time we spend working on games. And we are a game studio first and foremost. So I know that's a little disappointing. But the best way to keep in touch with us, if you are working on your own games and you want some like game design advice or some technical advice or some assistance or just rubber duck some things to figure out what you're doing, Discord's the best way to keep in touch with us. We've got a pretty solid community there. Lots of creators, lots of people from software game dev hang out in our Discord. So lots of expertise and knowledge to share. We also let people talk about their own projects there as well. We just don't want you to spam, like one mention, one link, tell us about what you got going on is totally cool. If you want to see what we're working on and you want to watch some past episodes, everything that we've been doing for the last January is going to be 2 years for us. So over the last 2 years of streaming, everything's up on YouTube. So if you want to watch like our very early streams, you can check those out. I've, done some interviews and stuff about my work on Destiny. We made some videos on that. Made some videos about Marathon and whatnot. Oh, thank you, Claw. Thank you. We're trying. We're trying really hard. We're bringing expertise to the table. So it's not like we are part-time indie devs. Like this is what we want to do forever, like as our main job. So we're really, really into this. I spent a bunch of time trying to get investors and, went to a bunch of pitch meetings and made some really good industry contacts. But all of this was in like 2023. And it was right when people started losing jobs and the industry was tightening up and not spending money. So it was really rough getting to a point where I was like, how the fuck are we going to do this? And I was like, you know what, let's just commit to 4 hours a week doing a live stream. And it's been very, very awesome. I wasn't even sure if I was going to enjoy it. Streaming is hard. It takes a lot of energy. But yeah, there's a lot of reasons to do it. And it's been a net benefit for us. Some really amazing people that support us. You guys are an awesome community. So it's great to be a part of this. Marathon art stealing was wild. What were your old coworkers thinking with that? So, Claw, here's the weird thing. Bungie that I know was not the Bungie that I aspired to be a part of when I joined in 2015. And I left at the end of 2019. So I was probably like 3 months out from being at 5 years total. When I was on my way out, most of like my video game idols that worked at Bungie were gone already. So this studio is not what it was before. That's why you're seeing Bungie just fall apart. The original spirit of the company is long gone. It's really sad. It's disappointing. The whole reason I wanted to get into making video games in the first place was the Halo 2 Vidoc series that came with the collector's edition. And I just loved all the passion those guys had. And it was a big dream for me to go work at Bungie. And then I got in there and I made some really awesome stuff, and I just didn't like the direction of the game. I didn't like the culture of the studio. It wasn't for me. And I made plans to get back to Colorado, hated being in Seattle. And yeah, that's kind of where I'm at now. Did some things after Bungie. Like I said, I was working at Topgolf and I worked for Free Range Games. I was lead level designer at Topgolf and I was a lead designer on Return to Moria at Free Range Games. And then after, I got laid off on that project because the game was shipping and it just always goes that way. People get cut, especially the expensive ones, of which I was. So I was at a point and I was like, you know what, Tony, fuck it. We ball. Let's go full time. I'm going to go full time on Fractal Grove. And so that's what I've been doing. I see that too much attrition in the industry these days. Doubt they were the same dudes. Yeah, they were. So Joe Cross was there when I was there. And when I was working with Joe, he wasn't an art director. But Joe actually did the concept art for the Whisper, this sniper rifle back here that looks really fucking cool. He did that concept art and he did a wonderful job. Obviously, Joe's got some issues being an art director if his team is stealing art from Twitter and putting it into the game. All of that happened after, I had long left Bungie. So I don't know, man, but I know that Joe's probably having a really tough time right now. He's still a human at the end of the day, but that behavior is inexcusable, especially as the art director. Like, you got to know where your shit's coming from. You really do. And it's very, very challenging, especially at that level with such a big team, to keep tabs on all that stuff and like really know where everything's coming from. It's really fucking hard. I do think Joe didn't do himself any favors with the responses he gave and how he was trying to handle PR. Admittedly, I think Bungie's best PR was when Deej was there. Deej was a phenomenal human being, but he left shortly after I left, and he went to go work at Iron Galaxy. They did the Battle Royale beat 'em up brawler game, and I think KI, a fighting game like Killer Instinct. So they did something else. I know that they've been working on a few projects, but Deej is back in Chicago doing his thing. I just personally don't think like Dylan and Chris have the same, PR acumen that Deej had. So we're seeing some fallout of that. Just the amount of turnover at Bungie, it's not the same people, it's not the same culture, it's not the same studio. And then you see what Pete did with the studio, where Microsoft Pete was always trying to cash out, and then when I was there, Harold Ryan got fired by the board, Pete took over. So this is in like 2015, maybe late 2015 or early 2016. So he's been doing it for 10 years, just parting out Bungie and selling it, getting his, and he's gone now. He left the studio, and the timing was less than coincidental. He left after his options and bonuses and whatnot vested from the Sony buyout. So Pete got his, rip Bungie. It's really sad to see. So scandal after scandal after scandal. Bungie's in a bad way. I am concerned for the people I know who are working a Marathon, because I know they care a lot. Lars Bakken, one of the coolest people I've ever worked with. I really don't like seeing Lars have to deal with this, because that dude is a wonderful human being and he's a really good game designer. He's got a lot of really good vision. He's a smart guy, and he's just one of the nicest people I've worked with. So it really sucks to see Lars going through this. I've got a couple of other friends that work on it. There was a Destiny content creator that I worked with, back in the day when I was working on Whisper and Zero Hour. He goes by Holtzman. He was like a pretty big Destiny content creator, but he's a combatant designer on Marathon. And I know that he's probably going through it too, because he's like, what the fuck is going on here? This is crazy. So I imagine everyone's going to probably try to find new jobs as quickly as possible, because Bungie does not have a solid future. I think at best it's chaotic and worrisome. At worst, it's getting shut down entirely. So not like being absorbed, and they're going to have this talent and this brand of these legends, like they're just not there anymore. None of the legends are there. The industry is really weird too. When I was there, the Sandbox team, so the game design team that made what the iconic Destiny feel that felt really great at launch of Destiny and Destiny 2, those guys all left when I was still there, and most of that team went on to make Concord. So they're not doing great either. Games are hard, guys. There's a lot of risk, and that's a part of what we talk about here. How to mitigate that risk, how to survive in this very volatile industry. Hell yeah, Indie's the future. Did you see Megabonk? Great game, millionaire overnight. Yeah, absolutely. Tony loves Megabonk.
Megabonk is so fucking good, so good. Megabonk is like the first game since like Risk of Rain 2 and Vampire Survivors, which is the games that it's trying to be, that like actually makes my brain feel the same way. So he nailed it. It's really good.
Yeah, we're at a point where it makes a lot of sense to be indie devs, and we can take a shot. AAA's fumbling really bad, so we've got a chance here, and that's why we're doing this. Adder says only downside is we're seeing 20 to 30% increase in games released on Steam year over year, meaning less and less room for indie devs to stand out, tying profit closer and closer to luck. Yeah, absolutely. That's really true. I think for us, I have a very high level of confidence in the ability to create something that's meaningful and interesting to players, and I think that's how we stand out. So, I talk about my time at Bungie. When I started working there, I had never worked on a AAA game, and I had never worked on a FPS. and I still came out of there having made some of the most memorable and iconic features that existed in Destiny. I didn't just make the Whisper in 0 Hour. I did a bunch of stuff. I did open world quests and missions and, encounter design and, built a lot of the stuff that people really, really liked in Destiny.
I always feel like one of the most impressive parts of that story to me is that you convinced Bungie to give you that job with no experience. It's very impressive. I think it's nearly unheard of, especially in this industry. But
thank you. The real story there is I had done good networking and met some really cool people that helped me get into games in the first place. And I kept them in my network of mentorship and help. And I was actually interviewing at Riot, and I was lamenting. I was at PAX. I was like, man, I really fucked this interview up. This guy was not interested in hiring me at all. He was talking to me about making RTS mods, and it was supposed to be a job interview, and it was just an absolute failure. And the guy I was talking to was the creative director on Terra, the MMO. I think that's Bluehole or something like that. It was like a Korean developer. Anyway, this dude was the creative director for the US side of the product, and he used to work at Bungie on Halo. I think he did Halo 3 and Halo Reach, and he was an artist there. So as I was talking to him, he's like, would you ever want to work at Bungie? And I was like, yeah, dude, that's like my dream job. I was just interviewing at Riot because I thought it was a step to get into Bungie. And he was like, well, let me make some calls. Let me see if I can introduce you to anyone. And then about a day later during the PAX trip, he had me come meet him at a place, and I was introduced to the design director at Bungie at the time. And, he basically opened the door for me. We had a really good interview. I showed him what I was working on. He loved my perspective on game design. And he was like, let's start this interview process. I want to get you in here. Let's make it happen. And suffice it to say, the interview loop was 8 months long. It was very, very, very long. I flew out there, did like a 9-hour interview in person, had like probably 4 different rounds of phone interviews. It was a fucking arduous process. Even then, I was at first denied hiring. And then a couple months later, I reached out to the design director again, and he was like, what the fuck? They didn't hire you? He's like, hold on, I'm going to fix this. Gets in touch with some other people. I get a call back like a week or 2 later, and they were like, hey, so we're going to hire you, but we have to do another round of interviews. And I was like, okay, no worries. So I went through the interview process, got an offer, and then moved out to Seattle and did the thing. It wasn't all rainbows and sunshine. It was very hard going in. I was hired as the most junior dev or design position possible. I was stuck on a team that didn't necessarily want me there. They didn't value any of my skill sets because I hadn't worked on AAA or FPS or worked on a Halo game. My expertise and acumen was viewed as like inadequate or irrelevant most of the time I was there. So I just tried as hard as I could to make good shit, and I succeeded just based on what players say about my work. So yeah, it was a lot of good times and bad times. As weird as that is, I finally got the dream job, and as they say, don't meet your heroes. There were a lot of shitty people that worked there. I think that's made apparent by the scandals in the recent years that Bungie's gone through. Let's see. Turning Cog, you haven't seen Megabonk? I feel like that is up your alley. Man has charisma. Oh, are you guys talking about me? Thank you. You guys are making me blush a little bit. Man is a born yapper. Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, like that was, so I was talking about Deej, right? That's how I was like, I should do this. A lot of people told me I should do this. It's not like a thing that I would seek out or do intentionally. But I gave a design talk at GCX, which was formerly known as Guardian Con in Florida, in front of like 5,000 people in a theater. I talked for about two and a half hours about the design of Whisper in 0 Hour with, co-creator, art director guy, Rob Adams. And the two of us did an interview with DMG. Like we did like a raid along, and we just talked about the whole creative process. And then afterward, Deej came up to me and like shook my hand and was just beaming. He was so excited, and he's like, dude, you're fucking amazing. He was like, you have a serious talent for this. And I was like, oh no, thank you. I was downplaying it and being humble. And he was like, no, stop. Listen to me. He's like, I've done this over a decade with hundreds of different designers, and you are a special 1% designer who can not only make really amazing things, but you can talk to people in a way that they understand and they like you and you're approachable. He's like, there's something fucking there for you. You got to figure out what it is. So all that shit stuck with me. And when I had this opportunity with Tony to do Fractal Grove, I was like, let's fucking get out here. Just put my face out there. I'll talk. Some people say bad things about me, but nobody here in Twitch. You guys are wonderful. This software game dev community is amazing. And it's honestly, it's a privilege to be accepted by you guys and be a part of this community. So yeah, thank you so much. I really value it. I always bail if a prospective employer comes back with a changed mind on hiring me, initially saying no. I feel you, Adder, but I always wanted to work at Bungie, dude. And it obviously I didn't know how bad it was until I got there. And man, that shit just I have to admit, it jaded a part of me for sure. But not for my passion to make games. It jaded me in terms of having trust in these people who make video games. It made me go man, I'm better than these fucking guys at what they're doing. And I have more understanding of how to make good video game moments. And these guys are supposedly the experts that I looked up to the whole time. Granted, to be fair, I didn't just come in off the cuff and know how to do shit. I harvested as much experience and wisdom as I possibly could. There were a lot of designers that I worked with that never talked to people outside of our team. And I made an effort to go talk to as many people across the studio as I could, ask them about what their thought processes were. They were shocked most of the time. They're like, why do you want to know this? I was like, I want to get better, dude. I want to fucking learn. I want to learn from you guys. Tell me. So there's so many different lessons that I picked up during my 5 years there that, I wouldn't have been able to make the Whisper without, for sure. Speaks volumes to management before even signing anything. Absolutely it does. And I mean, that was a clear red flag to me. Same with lateness by hiring team for an interview panel, usually a hard no for me. Yeah, in my post Bungie interviews when I was looking for other jobs, dude, I definitely straight up turned shit down. And I didn't have thank you very much for this pittance of acceptance. I never did that. I was like, it's not worth my time to talk to some of you guys. And they were like, whoa, what? And that would make them want to talk to me more. And I was like, you guys are not meeting me at the table here. You're already coming at it like I fucking owe you something, and I don't. You guys want the good talent. I am the good talent. If you want to hire me, here are my conditions. A lot of it was remote work, which is not on the table. I got really, really far in interview rounds as a senior designer for Bethesda. But the final round, they were like, cool. So let's talk about moving to Maryland. And I was like, let's fucking not, because I already told the recruiter in 3 different interviews that I will not be moving. And it seems like he didn't tell you guys that. And I hear someone in the conference room go, well, it sounds like we're done here. And I hear chairs moving and people getting up. And the recruiter was shocked and the hiring manager was like, fuck. And they apologized to me profusely. But I was like, I feel like I dodged a bullet. If you guys are going to act that way and I don't even work for you, I'm fucking out. Yeah, I got the vibe at her. Honestly, I'm glad I didn't get hired there, because I would have been stuck in a fucking unhappy treadmill again, and not even on a product or at a studio that I was super excited to work for. Sometimes you got to take what you get. Yeah, that was the Topgolf job for me. And the thing that made me say yes to Topgolf is they were paying me the right amount. They were extremely respectful. They appreciated my work. They took the time to go look at my resume. They took the time to look at the stuff that I made. It was an equitable exchange. Yo, Anime, what's up, brother? Thank you for the resub.
Oh,
but yeah, they really respected me as a creative, and I thought it was a mutual respect. It was a great job. I can't say the same thing about free range games. That was a weird experience. Yo, thank you for the follow, Draconin. I'm not trying to shit on free range. They just have a lot going on. It's a Bay Area company. They're really small, but they're trying to get bigger. It was a funky place. I did not feel like they had their shit together, and so it was good that I got out of there. The thing that was right is that they were paying me really well, and the mentor that I was talking about that got me into Bungie by opening some doors, he was the one who told me to come work at Free Range with him, and I don't have any regrets. It led me to where I am today, but it was a mix of positive and negative again. I would say mostly negative. Yeah, there's a bunch of reasons for that. Bethesda on its greatest downfall. Yeah, I believe that, dude. They were hiring a ton of people remote and forcing them to move to Maryland once the acquisition went through or get laid off. Dude, yeah, I would have had to quit, and that would have made it way fucking harder for me. Or, force them to fire me, because here's the thing, guys, that you may not know. If you quit, you can't collect unemployment insurance. So don't take the high road. It's actually better to get fired. So fucking sucks, but that's the reality. It hurts your pride. Emotionally, it's very stressful and a hard time, but you don't get benefits if you just walk out of some place. Ever since Robert Altman passed and MS bought them out, it was a steady decline from almost day one. Yeah, I believe that, Adder. Claw says, I wonder if they'll ever patch Starfield into a good game. Dude, I don't know. I don't know about that. Good luck. Crimson Surge, hey, welcome. Starfield as an idea had so much potential. Shame so much of it got wasted. I mean, it's complicated. It's like not any one person. Yeah. Adder says, day one of post-MS acquisition of Bethesda ZeniMax, Microsoft emailed all the employees and said, don't worry, there will be no big changes coming, nor will day-to-day change, with exceptions for all your benefits will be changing. PTO will be less next year. No more quarterly bonuses and mandatory return to office. Yeah, dude, those are big changes. Don't worry, nothing will change except everything. Ugh, that's crazy. That's crazy shit. This industry be like. Claw says, the thing that makes me sad is a lot of these games have amazing art direction. The UI and art of Starfield was great. The environment art from the new Dragon Age was so freaking good. Yeah, I mean, art carries games sometimes. You can have a bad game with great visuals and that will do well. You come back to Vince saying that's crazy? Yeah, that's crazy, Stevie. Making games is hard. The thing that I always hold on to, just as like a lesson for you guys who may not have shipped a product, or you're aspiring game devs, good game first is the most important thing. Establishing your vision and staying true to that vision, establishing pillars of what your game is, are the most important things. And then when you nail that shit, art supporting it, you get a banger 10 of 10. So I think that's where AAA misses the mark most of the time, is they don't understand that good game first. It's always, well, focus groups say this and gamers want this, and here's how these products monetize, and here's how they make more money. Gamers are a lot more discerning as an audience than like a movie watcher or a music listener. Those mediums are a lot more mainstream, and you have a much broader audience that is going to listen to stuff or watch stuff that you don't get with games. Gamers are passionate and they care a lot about what they're playing. Adder says, Starfield's color grading really grinds my gears. Yeah, dude, go off. Tell me about it, Adder. Because I don't know enough about Starfield, but I'd love to talk about like color grading and stuff like that. Claw, yeah, sometimes they forget that games are supposed to be fun. I think often they do. That was one of the big problems I had working on Destiny, is I would make stuff that I'm like, and they'd be like, why are you doing this? And I'd be like, because it's fun. I play the game, I have like 3,000 plus hours in Destiny 2 as a player on my own, just outside of working on the game for 5 years. It doesn't count the same way. So my personal accounts, I put a ton of time in. I was doing all the things that all the hardcore Destiny players were doing. I was doing, day one raids and shit like that, doing PvP. I just really understood the player base. So I have to say that I credit that with why I was able to make good decisions about content to build for the game itself. Good game first, bad game second. Yeah, try not to make bad game. I think that's probably the best thing there. But to give you guys an idea, because I was talking about how to make good game, I'm not, big on psychological horror. It's not like a genre that I would personally pursue. But to understand what it means and what the vibes are and why people like it, I watched a bunch of movies this weekend that fit in the psychological horror genre. American Psycho, Eraserhead were two standouts that I watched that were really, really cool to me. Eraserhead was interesting because I would say it's more of like an art house film. It was made in 1977, so it's like it's funky. It's got some weird shit going on, but it's also very David Lynch, very Twin Peaks to me. I must have been sweating. I mean, I wasn't. So, Stevie, one of the things that I do, which is, I guess, good and bad, maybe it's similar to like Zoomer's brains being cooked, but I will do more than one thing at the same time. So, like, if I'm watching movies, I'll also be playing a game. And a big reason for that is that there's just not enough time in a single human life to like experience all this stuff. But it's really important for a creative person to consume stories and to understand how stories are made and see all these different visions, because it's really inspiring. Helps you make a more cohesive thing as a creator at the end of the day. American Psycho was crazy. So my take on that, I was always like scared to watch American Psycho because I thought it was going to fuck me up really bad. That movie is incredible. It was so fucking good. Like, I want to watch it again. They were firing on all cylinders. The writing, the acting, the fucking cinematography was fucking good. It was hard for me to find fault with the movie itself. Obviously ultra violent, very, very fucked up mentally, like puts you in a bad way. But that's the art, right? Like, they wanted you to feel a certain way about it, and they nailed it. It helped me understand specifically how psychological horror works, and that's a disconnect between reality. So it's almost like, I would say Gaslight, the movie where the turn of phrase comes from, is psychological horror. And it's because the audience is witnessing a character have a break with reality, or struggling to understand what is real and what isn't real. And that translates to the audience, and they start to question their own structures of understanding. And that's what becomes very unnerving. So, yeah, I think that's kind of like my big takeaway. Oh, yeah, I'm so sorry. Someone else asked if I read the book. I did not read the book. I think it was Turning Cog. Yeah, I'd never seen American Psycho before this weekend. It was fucking amazing. I thought I was going to be too fucked up to watch it, but it was so good. It was really, really fucking good. Adder, go on with Inception. I would say Inception is borderline psychological horror for sure. If you need a new film to watch, saw Possession, top 10. What kind of horror is that? Because I think it's important to stick to, kind of the genre I'm shooting for. But if it's adjacent, I'll definitely watch it. From 1981, huh? Psychological horror, Andrei Zlovsky. Disturbing behavior. France and West Germany. Okay, so it's somewhat political. Okay, so it's about divorce. Okay. Yeah, that seems interesting. I might check it out. Yeah, the internet says it's psychological horror. You were reminded of Silent Hill watching it. Silent Hill is definitely psychological horror, but it leans into like the supernatural and like gore and stuff like that, which you don't necessarily need in psychological horror. As weird as this sounds, I kind of think A Beautiful Mind could be considered a psychological horror adjacent. There's Veritasium, which is liminal horror for sure. Well, no, but Stevie, that's still important because we are making liminal horror as well. So that's actually probably a good idea to check out. Vivarium. It wasn't Veritasium. Turning cog can't even pronounce that. I mean, bro, you can't even spell Stevie right, but it's okay. I'm just fucking with you, turning cog. Yes, Old Boy is fucking amazing. I loved Old Boy, dude. I didn't watch the Vengeance trilogy though, so I didn't see Sympathy or Vengeance. But Old Boy is such a good film. I want to say that was my first. No. What was the alien invasion? I think it was Bong Joon-ho Korean movie, and there's like giant bugs. It's not Parasite, but it's kind of a similar name. Parasite's Bong Joon-ho, but it's social psychological horror, which is also really good, by the way. Maybe I should watch Parasite again too. Jacob's Ladder. That's a good idea. I have not seen Jacob's Ladder, and I've been told I should watch that. Stevie, give me some King in Yellow stuff too. I need more. Because I was doing.
You should probably go back and watch True Detective season 1. That's where I got all the Carcosa stuff from, and he talks about it a ton. Yeah, and that's one of the best TV shows ever made. So
I like that you said you should go back when I've literally never seen it,
bro. Oh my god, I didn't even know that.
Yep. Get mad at me, chat.
I'm watching Terminal List. You're watching True Detective tonight.
All right.
That's how it's gonna go.
I'll get into. Yeah, look at this, bruh, dude. I knew it was gonna happen.
No,
Come at me.
That is insane. You have to
Come
watch
at
it.
me.
It's so fucking good. Oh my god.
Look at this. Chat is so upset. It's okay, guys. It's okay. I understand. I totally understand. I will watch True Detective. That's good homework for me. I'll watch that. Top 3 series.
That is literally why we got on this King in Yellow shit in the first place. Is because it's because the new Returnal game takes place on a planet called Carcosa, and I said, oh, that's that shit that they talk about in True Detective, and then you started Googling and you found the King in Yellow, so you got to do it. Yeah,
it was one of those synchronicity moments where I was already thinking about King in Yellow, and then you were like, isn't that from True Detective? I was like, I don't know. And you're like, oh, it totally is, but you hadn't realized that I hadn't seen it.
Yep.
Thank you, LFQ, my goat, dude. Long Legs is pretty good psychological horror. Anime, send me a list of some things I should check out. And just, bear in mind that American Psycho wasn't scary to me as much as I thought it was going to be. So I can handle psychological horror, apparently. It's like demons and supernatural horrors that I can't really deal with. Vampires being an exception, I'm fine with vampires. Zombies are okay, but zombie movies usually have a lot of gore, and gore is like mostly what fucks me up real bad. There's a scene in a movie called Irreversible, and I had to stop watching it. This guy it's a revenge movie, kind of like Old Boy, if that makes sense. But he caves this dude's head in with a fire extinguisher, and it's incredibly fucking graphic with practical effects. And I had to stop it. I stopped it and was like, I can't fucking watch this, man. It was just
that bottle scene in Pan's Labyrinth is always tough.
Yeah. I could do Pan's Labyrinth because the rest of it was so surreal and imaginative that it but
I remember that scene just being like, holy shit. The rest of the movie is weird but tame. And then, just that one scene, one of the more violent scenes I've ever seen in a movie.
Stevie, can you DM me the list too? Vivarium, Jacob's Ladder. I'm aware of True Detective, but throw it on the list too so I don't forget. That's my homework for tonight. I'm going to watch True Detective. Vampires are just a gateway to romance novels. Yo, turning cog for real. Maybe that's why they don't bother me. I think a couple months ago, I was telling you guys about Nosferatu, and I fucking loved that. There were some problems with it, but I really loved that movie.
It was so good. Yep.
The cinematography was immaculate, man. Just the lighting of every scene was so fucking good.
And just the classic trope of you don't really see the monster until one scene at the end, and oh man, and you want to see him, and it's so good.
My issues were with the people supposed to be the main human people were supposed to be German, and they all spoke with British accents, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? But all of the horror stuff, very good. I would also throw Chapelwaite in there as a thing that I really, really liked. Inspiration for psychological Lovecraftian horror. Fantastic. Really, really good.
And we talk about Sinners. I thought Sinners was really, really good. I really liked it. But as I was watching it, I don't know if like maybe Adder picked up on this, but like I felt like I was watching something made in Unreal Engine, because I know that they shot a ton of it on a volume probably driven by Unreal Engine, but you just look at it and like the specific like color grading or something, and a lot of it, especially like the outdoor scenes where they're like driving a car around, I got like the that is Unreal Engine feel, and that almost never happens in movies for me. And I really like that movie, but that was one thing that kind of stuck out to me.
He said, yeah, they did shoot on volume as far as I know.
I mean, I just assume like literally every movie ever made these days gets shot on a volume, especially something high budget like that. But just, yeah, I don't know. It was something about it just kind of like stuck out to me as like, oh, that looks really familiar. No, it was really just like it looks like ultra dynamic sky. That's probably like maybe a more specific way to say it. There's like scenes where they're like riding in a car through like cornfields, and it's like a big landscape expanse, and that inevitably has to be mostly 3D rendered, and it was probably filmed on a volume, so they got the lighting right. And you just look at it and you're like, man, that really just kind of looks like ultra dynamic sky. And that might be what it is. So
my only real criticism of Sinners was Michael B. Jordan playing himself as twins pissed me the fuck off. It really did. And then the name Smoke and Stack as the Smokestack twins, I was like, this is the corniest fucking shit I've ever seen. But the rest of the movie was great. I really liked it. They did such a fucking good job.
So
like with the music was so fucking good in that movie. So yeah. There were a lot of really positive and awesome things with Sinners. I like the plot too. I thought it was great. Personal criticisms about it, but you know, like I feel like some of the messaging was heavy-handed. But you know, there are other ways to do that and make it really good. But I don't want to get into that commentary. Just refreshed on Sinner production. They did use volume. They even had a modular mobile volume instead of green screens. That's crazy, dude.
Oh, and they had, I've seen some scenes of it that had Michael B. Jordan in like this crazy like camera light ring that kind of looks like Kojima's like scanner thing, but he's like wearing it on his body while he's acting, so that they can like effectively probably just recreate him in 3D and like, you know, put the doubles in, make him do whatever they need to. But the apparatus he's in looks really wild.
Yeah, so if you guys, you know, have some suggestions, please DM me, or you know, drop them into the Discord if you can't DM me, whatever. Tenet was so good. I think Tenet counts as psychological horror.
I still haven't seen Tenet. I need to watch that.
Dude, it's really good.
I really want to watch it. I just always forget about it.
I really like what's his name, Denzel's son as an actor. I do think he doesn't have the deepest range, but yeah. I thought he was fucking great. I love that actor. Let me see what his name is. The funny thing is what I like about him, John David Washington. What I like about him, like I came to like the actor from watching Ballers with The Rock and is it Rob Corddry? I think it's Rob Corddry. Anyway. Ballers was really fun, and I was like, dude, this guy's fucking great. And so then I started watching some movies he was in, and I was like, I really like this dude. UDS is great. Yes, you guys are right on that. UDS is very powerful. We lean on that a lot.
This is UDS sky right here. I'm not really doing a lot with it, but the space star stuff and kind of clouds and stuff look good.
Adder has personal beef with UDS because that's his wheelhouse. So
UDS is Adder's op big time, but.
Mm-hmm. He's like, I could do this so much better. This shit is ass. But
I'm gonna be right back.
UDS. Yeah, no worries, bro. We are running a little long today, guys, but it's okay. We like the conversation, and you guys are awesome. So it's okay. We got some time, so don't worry about it. We're chilling for now. I think when Tony hits a spot where he's like, I don't want to do this anymore, or I need to take a break, that's probably when we'll call it. Yeah, you're welcome, Stevie. I mean. Not gonna lie, a part of it is that you just brought us, you know, your community, and that's fantastic. So I'd love to stay here and entertain you guys instead of just have you raid and then we dip in like 10-15 minutes. You know, sometimes we do have to do that because we have schedules that we have to abide by and whatnot, but no, this works. No, don't be sorry, it's okay. I like doing it when, you know, there's new people here to talk to, the conversation's going really well, and the stream is productive. If we like hit a low spot and it's kind of, you know, dull or whatever, then that's generally a good time to call a stream. UDS is great out of the box for visual stuff, though. No beef there. I also like to steal their material functions on projects. I'm not allocated time to build. Yeah, totally. Dude, the blue man is so creepy, LFQ. Like, this motherfucker, when Tony just dropped him into the scene and started walking, the guy just turns around and stares right at him, and it just did that, like, default. So that was pretty crazy. I do have UDS. Haven't messed with it. That's going to be further down the line for me, but good to know. I'll have some time to spend optimizing some parts of it when I get there. Yeah, so Crimson, we're using UDS on our main project, Hyperskate, which is, it's got, it's a PCVR game, so it's got a whole bunch of other challenges that we have to deal with. So we really need to make UDS perform, and Natter has been helping us a lot with some advice on that and how to like clean that shit up and make it usable in VR, because we have to render everything twice, and yeah, it's a pain in the butt. But perf is very important for VR.
And this project's nice because we get a lot more headroom than we normally have with VR. So
yeah, VR is not even a consideration. Like, I mean, user interactions in VR are something that are really, really, really important. And we don't even have to worry about that because there's flat game conventions that have already been solved and figured out. So we can just lean on a lot of that. We're trying.
I think it's given us a lot of like good practices that we're taking into like this project where we're a little more cognizant of things that maybe some people don't worry about so much all the time.
What was I gonna say? I was gonna say something, but I lost it. It doesn't matter. Turning Cog is talking about UDS. Yeah, it's a fancy calendar app. Yeah, you can do seasonal changes and stuff with it for sure. It's really good. You should play with it. It's a very powerful and useful plugin.
Going into this level so I could show, we had done some tests with it for like a thunderstorm. Sorry if it's coming through my mic, it's kind of loud, but
just a little bit.
This is just kind of like a drop-in thing that you can put in a level. I didn't really do anything to make this do this. I just checked a box. So you can definitely pull off some pretty cool stuff with it.
You made like a blood red sky too, like pretty easily, didn't you?
Oh yeah, you can take it and like, so if I go back to, we'll go clear skies, and then I can go to UDS here, and I don't know, we'll just search for like color, and then you start getting here's our night scatter color. I think we can, start by moving that over into the reds. Some of these settings are, wow, I'm really unhappy right now. I don't know what the deal is, but yeah, so I can make that look like that. And then we could go to like our sky glow, and we can make that red too. That might be a little too much. But yeah, you can go crazy with it. We were kind of trying to do like some blood moon type thing. Yeah, that's the other stuff I was doing, is if you go to moon, you could go like, there's a lot of moon colors here. Yeah, moon light color. We'll make that red as well. That one goes a long way for sure. And then we can make the moon itself red. I'm not sure if we can see it. Yeah, there you go. Now we're blood moon and Breath of the Wild type shit.
Nice.
Yeah.
Adder, that's really good advice. I'll try to remember that. But if you see us like getting stuck on weirdness and you see like we're not doing that, please feel free to remind us.
Sky is slightly brighter than your shadow ambient. Okay.
Yo, bright side, the homie.
Yo.
Dude, what's good, brother? How was your weekend? How did the big event go? I want to hear all about it, man. Dread's doing great, dude. Look, we got spooky street lamps and the blue man who like stares at you and he's very creepy. The glazed one is back from getting cooties. Turning Cog, I'd glaze you too, but you don't share any of your stuff because you're shy, which is okay. Yeah, you can. If you share your stuff, I'll glaze you too, bro. Fuck. Why? I'm still stuck on what I wanted to tell you guys, but I just can't fucking remember. I kind of wanted to throw this idea out there. So I was talking about how I did some homework and watched some movies and some shows, and I need some more to like really understand psychological horror. it sounds really fun when you're like, ooh, I get to watch movies and shows and read books and stuff. No, it's not like that. What you're doing is you're analyzing it and trying to understand what parts work and what parts don't and how to improve on things. So it's like a different type of watching or consuming entertainment with a critical eye. And that is not as fun. It's just not. But you also need to watch stuff and consume things that you normally would not, because it gives you a brand new perspective on how to approach things that you want to make and that you're excited about and that fit with your interests. So kind of finding some space to be uncomfortable and pushing your personal boundaries and interests. That's the really important piece. But then also looking at it from a perspective of, instead of watching the scene and being fully immersed, you're looking at lighting, you're looking at the choice of how the camera moves, you're looking at where the actors are in the scene, you're looking at the things they're saying, the scoring, the background music, right? You're looking at all of these things and trying to understand how they complement each other and build the scene up to have more emotional impact. So the hard part is going like, I'm feeling a thing, and then being like, wait, stop feeling a thing. Think about why you're feeling a thing, and think about how to recreate the feeling that you have in your own work. That's the important piece to all of this. So it sounds like it's super fun and exciting to just consume a bunch of entertainment content, or like lazy, but it's not the same mentality. And I guarantee you, if you guys follow Hideo Kojima at all, he's always talking about some music he's listening to, a film he's watched, and a book he's reading, all this stuff that he's consuming. That's how he's doing it. I promise. He's not looking at it the same way. The trade-off there is it becomes a struggle to really enjoy something, but you also get a better sense for quality in a well-crafted experience, because it will be harder for you to look at it analytically. You just get sucked in. You're really enjoying it. So for those of you building your own projects, and if you're trying to be creative and like find this interesting thing to make your product stand out or show your artistic vision, make sure you're consuming other people's entertainment. Make sure you're reading other people's stories. It matters a lot. Not everyone on a team needs to do that. It can be really useful for a creative director to say, like, I've had this in mind, and maybe I'm not doing a great job of selling the vision through my pitches or meetings or discussing the project. Here are some things for you guys to check out, on the side. Obviously, you really don't want to derail your people by making them go watch a movie that's your fucking favorite movie. That's like kind of head up your own ass creative director stuff. But if you can include some scenes and like put them into a pitch and stuff like that, very, very useful. Imagery, video, audio, all that stuff is really important to selling these concepts. So yeah, let's see. How we doing? Feeling spooky season is upon us. We ready for dread? Hell yeah, Brightside. I still want to know, man, how was your big weekend and how was everything? Obviously you survived, so you didn't party too hard, which is great. Crimson says, sadly, I don't really have anything much visual to show for my game. Been working on core systems. Dude, that's okay. If you were here when I was talking about Queen Anne sharing her game Endless You, they had a very rudimentary character model with like some very basic 2D animation on it, and everything else was like primitives. So like cubes and rectangles and shit like that. So you can still get a lot of really positive, or not positive, but like helpful feedback at that stage of a game.
Yeah, I mean, I know we're starting to put a little bit of paint on this, but this was cubes, and a lot of it still is. Like, the street's just a cube, and these grass plots are just a cube, and these house placeholders are just a cube, and these debug things are just a cube, and slowly you just start replacing the cubes with like a street light, and you put grass on them, and you make them look like a sidewalk, and it starts to come together. But we definitely started with cubes.
LFQ says, praise the cube. Let's see. Turning Cog, I'm not shy. I'm struggling with figuring out how to model cars to feel like an era without getting sued for trademarks or some other shit. So I'm learning the design language of the vehicles of the time. I mean, that's still really interesting, man. And if you're finding like you're struggling at all, like I got a lot of tips and tricks. I'd be happy to help out. I'm not the best art director. I wouldn't definitely call myself an art director either, but I can help you kind of get closer to that style and give you some references like I'm asking you guys for. Everyone insisting that I watch True Detective is great. So I'll definitely check that out. Brightside, everything went crazy. Good weather and everything panned out perfect. We just chilling for a couple days before we get back to it. Hell yeah, bro. Yeah, we do have cubes in Dread, but we're not going to ship cubes. Dread is going to be... I could see some cubes being in the liminal space spooky area, but I don't know that a cube itself is unnerving on its own. It would have to be like a really weird, what's the fucking thing that Pinhead has that is like that puzzle box that opens the gateway to hell in Hellraiser? Could be like some shit like that.
Isn't that like the Tesseract or something?
Yeah, it's called something like that.
Yeah, I can't remember. Okay, here's that post-processing thing I was telling you about too. So here's the normal one. Yeah. And then here's like I kind of tried to do some of the stuff they were doing in that one. You can see like just in terms of like the dynamic range, that's kind of a lot of what got increased. Like you can definitely see the sky decently better. You can see the silhouettes of the houses better, but like it kind of gets rid of the like actual darkness a little bit like we have if we do this one.
Stevie loves it. She's into the fisheye.
Well, and the fisheye is something I can put on this one too. I think I might just have it turned off right now. Yeah, so if I do that, there. So now we got fisheye on there. This is the OG, and then this is the other one. And again, it's like desaturated a little bit, and the like dynamic range and stuff is adjusted a little bit, whereas this one isn't like that.
I want to catch up on some chat real quick. Mocap says, I've been finding feeling out my horror game is really tough in gray box. I think that's where like stories and other people's art is really going to help you a lot. Do you mood board at all? Even if you don't have other teammates, it can be really helpful to. And do you have you established pillars for your game? So if you have pillars and you have mood board stuff, it'll really help you keep that vision fresh in your head. I have a special power of being able to like intensely visualize things. Like my daydreaming and my imagination is very, very, very strong. So I do a lot of work in my head. But the thing that's nice is when you have stuff on paper, it reminds you of what you were thinking of in the first place, and it keeps you focused. Let's see. A mini moon, I guess this vacation is called. Yeah, dude, mini moon. Hell yeah, man. That's awesome. Soon it'll be a cube with radical custom sidewalks. Yeah, Omni says hello. I expect TDF one gift.
Stuff up your range. Okay, interesting. Oh yeah. It does look much worse on that monitor, you're
right. Cube with spikes and glowing eyes could be spooky. Yeah, totally. And you guys were saying it's the lament configuration. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't watched Hellraiser, but I'm just familiar with a lot of the concepts in it. Hellraiser's too spooky for me, too bleak and violent and horrifying, and it's just not my shit. Boom, shaking the Beppis. Let's go. Nice. Barrel distortion is fun. Stevie loves it. All about it. Local exposure curves go a long way. And then I'm assuming, Tony, you were responding to Adder's pro tip.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to like do a recording or something and like upload it somewhere for you guys to look at on Discord or something. You can tell me what you think about the processing and the brightness and stuff like that, because I mess with it a lot and I just can't decide, because like the way that I normally have it like right now is the new way that I was trying, and it like makes it so I can see everything to some extent, and there's no spots that are like almost entirely dark. And I know it doesn't really look like that to you guys. It looks like everything is super dark, but yeah. The other way that I have it, there is definitely pockets of like I don't know if you're remembering like playing Splinter Cell or something. Like they did a good job with there's certain spots where the shadows are like pitch black, and like I kind of had that range of like brightness to darkness happening because it seemed spookier, more realistic or something. But I don't know. I would like some other opinions for sure.
Mocap, lighting has been helping as well as sound, but it's hard to know how scary you'll feel at the moment. It sounds to me like you might be too into the weeds. Get some people you trust. I don't know if you've been around when I talked about the brain trust concept, but get some people you trust and show them the game. So here's the downside. You can only show someone something for the first time once, right? So you need that raw reaction. Don't prime people. Don't be like, here's how you should play or any of that. Let them play. And then you will see where you're missing marks. So if you're like, shit, they didn't go the right direction, think about why they didn't go the right direction. How strong are your visual tells? How strong are your audio compulsions for where a player wants to go? Stuff like that. But get more eyes on it, especially if you're feeling like you're struggling to understand the shape of the experience that you're building. Have more people play it blind. Don't give them any primers. And just get that raw feedback. Watch their reactions if you can. Like it's best to see a person instead of just being in voice chat if you can. So yeah, it'll be hard because I know we do things on the internet, but if you've got some people in real life that you can show it to and have them play and they've never seen it before, do that. It'll help. And then, ask them open-ended questions, get their vibes, get their feelings. You don't have to act on any of it, but it'll just help you understand how other people see what you've made. I think this will always be hard for us horror devs because we're making the thing. We'll never be scared by it the same way. Yeah. That was the best example I can give of that was Trevor in the 0 hour maze. It's very scary and no one expected it to be scary. I didn't expect it to be scary. I expected it to be like slightly unnerving, but Trevor ended up scaring the shit out of some people and they were like, oh my God, Destiny's a horror game. And I was like, huh. So yeah, you'll never be able to see the thing the same way an end user will because you've contrived it all. It's all living in your head. And you've built it, so you know where everything is. You're just going to miss out on those moments. A lot of that is instinct. It's your gut feel. But again, like I was saying, that I temper a lot of that with looking at other people's creations and then trying to apply their techniques and sort of like draw inspiration from what other people have built. And it helps me come up with some really good ideas and understand what will be scary, because I remember a time when I was scared and how I got scared, because I can analytically break it down, using that critical eye. Let's see. Hello, Boom. Hello, gamers. LFQ with the Bepis. I have a hotkey to size up and size down the stream preview size, so I can also get real-time thumbnails to see if the shot passes the squint test. Nice, Adder. Windows hotkey to turn windows to black and white. Ooh, that's great, actually. That black and white is really good for understanding contrast in your scene. Color blindness filters and window settings are awesome for dev. Tony enabled HDR. I don't know if you already saw this. Enabled HDR view and editor to enable a real-time histogram and exposure bracket. Show, visualize, HDR. He keybinds this to Alt-V. If your on-screen range clips below your histogram range, it'll clip your value range on screen and cause auto exposure bugs. This is fucking good shit. Thank you, Adder. Yeah, we're show, brother. Stevie says, also, Tony, it's better for it to be too bright than too dark. Complete darkness is actually less scary than something you can see and think something might be there. Yeah, I'm with that, Stevie.
Yeah, for sure. I'm erring more on, I guess, there being some darkness than none. It would probably be the right way to say it.
Yeah, I'm okay with what he's got going on right now.
Oh, that one. Okay, got you. Okay. What was it? Show, visualize, HDR.
Scientia Ludos also talks about the trap of too dark for horror devs. Yep. I'm definitely thinking about that, Stevie. So it's good that I appreciate you sharing it. It's definitely front of mind. So don't worry. Lighting is incredibly important for everything. Not just horror. It's just everything.
I'll have to look more into how to read this. but definitely good to know.
Yeah, take it easy, LFQ. Thanks for hanging out, brother. Thank you so much again for the massive amount of subs that you give us. You're an incredible person. Yeah, I hope you have a great sleep, and we will see you next time. We'll probably see you next week because I know that Thursdays are hard for you to catch because it's like 2 a.m. for you. But yeah, thanks, man. As always, thank you for coming through. They moved to the eye icon. Oh, you're already there. You're fully clipped out. Okay, that's what Adder's saying.
Yeah, I'm caught up.
Okay, thank you, Adder. That's really good advice. What do you think, Tony? How you feeling? I'm getting pretty hungry.
Yep. Yeah. We can wrap it up here, Adder. I definitely am gonna hit you up just for some tips that would be helpful. And then yeah, we'll get this dialed in. I think. What are we just gonna keep going tomorrow?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think we do Dread Dev all month, so that's where we're at.
Yeah, all you nerds come back with cool assets or post-process ideas or whatever. It's been really helpful. So we'll be back 2 p.m. tomorrow. Same stuff.
Also, if you guys can think of a movie or a show or something that I should watch as inspiration for psychological horror, let me know. You can either post it in the Discord or DM me. I'm pretty sure I have DMs turned off unless we like are mutual friends or whatever on Discord. So if you can't reach me that way, just tag me in Discord. Yeah, you're welcome. That's a big part of what we're trying to do with the stream, Stevie. So yeah, we're trying to do this whole thing and just make it very clear, like this is the weird secret sauce that people don't talk about in games. Yeah, for one reason or another.
But yeah, what we'll probably be doing, I'll either be doing today or we'll work on tomorrow, is we're gonna get this placeholder house from this modular neighborhood spawning into all the like plots and stuff in the level, so that we actually have a real house. And then I think somebody mentioned like maybe some other lighting sources in the scene. So I definitely want to start messing around with like a few having the porch light on or like having some light coming out of the windows or something. I think that'll really kind of maybe help light some stuff up that's not, we need to get some trees in there to start catching the street lights and stuff. So yeah, any advice that you guys have is appreciated.
Also, don't forget, if you guys caught the stream late and you want to know everything we talked about, all the VODs are always up on YouTube. So I'm just going to drop links just for some of you who may not know. What? Did I do that wrong? Fucking
link tree.
Thank you. Links. Link T. Yeah, I need to eat, guys. My brain's not working. I was like, wait, what am I doing? I just wrote the word links. Yeah, thank you guys. We will see you tomorrow. We're gonna do more Dread Dev. I don't think I have anything else. I think that's it. We're gonna call it for today. Thank you guys for all the support.
Got anybody you want us to raid?
Oh yeah, who should we pass the raid on to, Stevie? Since you brought it to us, or just anyone else in chat. If you're like, this guy's my favorite, I was gonna go over here anyway.
Preferably a game developer, probably. But
yeah. Let's keep the vibes the same. Hi, Boom. Are you live, Boom? We can raid you.
Boom ain't live.
Fuck.
I wouldn't even have had to ask if Boom was live.
Yeah, good point. Okay, we'll give it another like 10 seconds and then we'll just end stream if we can't find a raid. So no worries, guys.
He is an environment artist.
Are you vouching, Turning Cog?
I'm looking.
Great community. I don't like Godot because I'm a snob, Stevie.
Yeah, I mean, this is probably fine. Let's do it.
All right, Dynasty.
Yeah.
I appreciate the suggestion, guys, but Turning Cog got in first, so we're gonna go with Turning Cog.
Looks like he's making cool 3D art. I'm watching an ad, so I can't actually see the whole stream, but I can see a little thumbnail. So,
is it like a salmon colored DI logo? Does that look right?
Yep,
okay, cool. Yeah, he's doing some like paint over material stuff, which is interesting. All All right, y'all. I'm about to click that button. Thank you, everyone. We will see you tomorrow for more Dread Dev. We're going to be working on Dread all month, so that's our focus. Thank you, everyone, for your interest and questions and comments and participation in the conversation and support and subs and the raids and everything. You guys are wonderful. We love being a part of this community. We will catch you tomorrow. And we're out. Hang on one second, Tony. I just want to make sure it all goes through.